Hello, everybody, and welcome to Debate Dissection for another week. And boy, let me tell you, I did not want to do this one. I really don't want to do this one. But we're here, where we may or may not be queer, and we are going to get into it. We're gonna have a look at the absolute devastating for the debate world dumpster fire that happened last week while at the same time I was doing my other debate dissection on Matt Dillahunty's walkout on that one. So initial thoughts on this. As I said, I really don't want to do this one, but it is sort of a milestone in the debate world. It is, and some things have to be said, some things have to be addressed. I'm going to give my feelings. You can agree or disagree all you want. I'm going to give my feelings on the whole thing. What I think should happen moving forward, and how. And I'd like to have a discussion about how we address the current standard of debate within the YouTube sphere. I've met a lot of debaters, and I don't know many of my friends or the people that I associate with genuinely looking for this kind of debate. But I want to welcome Doc Dino, who's filling in for Ember. Much love to Ember. We're still thinking of you, buddy. Yeah, how are you doing, Doc?
I've been all right. I wanted to come on because, as you've said, this debate is an absolute unadulterated dumpster fire. And
Right.
a lot of things come up that I feel are important to talk about in this sphere.
Sure.
Because even though I am new to it, it's
Yeah.
a bit of a trend, and I don't like it.
So I think whether you're new or whether you're sort of from back in the so the non sequitur days, right? The days of the non sequitur show, if you know what that is, that was before my time. So it's not like I'm really old in the sort of sphere as well. But whether you're new or old, I think everybody has a stake in how public discourse is actually sort of made. I mean, I have a good question. Is this debate a reflection of the times, or is this the times a reflection of the sort of current discourse that we're getting into? That's a very good question. But
I mean,
I hope you're well.
Yeah.
I hope that people out in the audience as well. Let's see who we got. And I want to make a disclaimer to start off. This is it was hard for me to watch the first time. I'm not looking forward to the second time. There's some very disturbing positions brought up in this debate. It is very it could be potentially very triggering to some people, and I want you to keep that in mind, that if trans issues do trigger you, or you don't want to see that, then this one isn't for you. It is absolutely and I think it was meant that way. I think sort of that is the intention of this particular gentleman. I mean, I say gentleman, I'm not sure I should use that terminology. I don't really want to draw attention to the guy, which is why I did not want to do this review, and I'm doing it. I don't want to do it. I think it needs to be done. I think it does need to be addressed, and we need to start talking about how we're engaging with the Christian section of the community, especially the Christian right. I mean, this guy is the Christian far right. I think he believes in sort of a ethno state, from what I can pick up. Yeah. So, have you got anything to add before we start?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Okay. So this is the modern day Debatecon, if you're unfamiliar with it. It's basically a convention in Texas where James, the guy that does modern day debate, gets a whole load of debaters together and just basically has a live event. Matt Dillahunty on the right, obviously you probably know who he is, huge debater, has been very, very effective in his he sometimes does lose his temper, but very, very effective debater, very, very good at logic and rationality, can really hammer home a point. Now, the guy on the left, I've seen very little of him, usually in social issue debate, but that guy is a out and out fascist, an out and out misogynist, an out and out sexist, out and out racist. He is one of the worst individuals I've ever heard talk in my entire life. But he's going to argue why, and you can see the title, Will Secular Humanism Beat Christianity? He claims that wasn't the title. He claims that but let's go. We'll start with Matt. So, I mean, I can probably sort of let the entirety of that run and make comments, because it is important to realize what is contained within Matt's introduction, what it comprises of, what it sort of addresses.
Thanks, Andrew.
Right. Should we say what the topic of the debate was at least supposed to be?
Sorry?
Should we say what the topic of the debate was supposed to be?
Oh, it was supposed to be it was secular humanism versus Christianity. So it's a moral debate, what we ought to do, but really it's framed as will secular humanism beat Christianity? And, spoiler alert, if this debate is anything to go by, absolutely.
Yeah.
If this is the level of sorry?
You first.
Oh, if this is the level of Christianity you're presenting, seriously, there's no doubt that secular humanism will win over this version of Christianity that he's projecting out here.
Yeah. One of the debaters thinks we put down the burning crosses a bit too early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, I'd rather sort of address what he says in this debate, but that's not what he's doing. He's not here for a good faith debate, and we'll show you that later. It is not even. He doesn't even try to engage in a good faith debate. Doesn't even try.
As its focus, the betterment of humanity in this life, while Christianity has as its focus adherence to a God and the disposition of souls in an afterlife. Our best efforts in this life are, according to the Bible, like filthy rag. Our best attempts at righteousness and justice are portrayed as vile and disgusting when compared to a bumbling God constantly failing to get his creation to love and respect him, while also prescribing the death penalty for nearly everything: adultery, blasphemy, breaking the Sabbath, disobedient children, witchcraft, worshiping another God, not being a virgin on your wedding night. Which is better for society? Well, I'd say the one that has human society as its focus and isn't so intent on killing humans for not buying into a specific doctrine. Heaven and hell, if they were to exist, aren't human societies. What a God thinks is unknown and irrelevant. There's never been a secular humanist nation, either in a governmental form, which I'm not advocating for, or in a primary philosophical view of the majority of the population, which means we have to look at the ideals between these two positions. Secular humanism has been around for 90 years. In 1933, the first Secular Humanist Manifesto was published. It identified.
Okay, so he's pointed out a couple of problems with Christianity and gone on to express how we formulated secular humanism, kind of thing. So that's very important, because he's gone on to discuss why secular humanism in particular is better, and he's covered a few topics, kind of thing, right? So his start was like, this is the problem with Christianity, this is another problem, this is another problem. Just keep that in mind as he goes on.
Identified humanism as a religion with 15 points. It was updated 40 years later in 1973 with a lot more information, and then it was incredibly shortened in 2003. In addition to the manifestos, there are organizations like the Council for Secular Humanism, American Humanists, etc. In the first version of the manifesto, it's presented as a religious view where it acknowledges there's no supernatural guarantee of human value. We advocate a heightened sense of personal life and a cooperative effort to promote social well-being. The goal of humanism is a free and universal society in which people voluntarily and intelligently cooperate for the common good. In the manifesto version 2, 40 years later, this includes a lot more information. Short versions, they begin by saying those who sign this disclaim that they are setting forth a binding credo. This statement reaches for a vision in time that needs direction. We affirm a set of common principles that can serve as a basis for united action. This isn't a to-do list or thou shalt not list. We're fine with religion's inspiration, but we're opposed to dogma and authoritarian views that place anything above human needs. Religions don't pass the test of scientific evidence. The promises of immortal salvation or eternal damnation are illusory and harmful. Ethics and moral values stem from human experience.
Yeah, so he's basically pointing out some comparisons now on multiple different subjects. And I want you to understand that he's doing multiple different aspects, multiple different subjects, multiple different things. Those could be picked up by Andrew at his if he wants to focus on one, that's fine. S.J. Thompson sided with Spooky. Did S.J. Thompson side with Andrew?
No.
I don't know. I haven't really looked to see who's sort of come out with who.
But
yeah.
Well, I will say this is part of Matt's style that I do like and why I feel he's pretty effective. He's good at laying out a bunch of points and explaining those points and tying them into his main thesis.
Yes.
That's part of why I'm not sure I'd ever want to debate him, because it'd be hard for me to keep track of it in a debate.
Well, that's why you have to make notes in a debate. Like, you have to actually lay down notes. And I've got the funny feeling Andrew's not making any notes here. I think he's just writing down, maybe sort of signaling to his friends that he's about to make the debate into a complete and utter dumpster fire. So Matt Dillahunty, yes, he's basically raising a whole bunch of points about Christianity, a whole bunch of points about secular humanism, and trying to show that secular humanism, the points are good, and it points to something that we can use, and Christianity doesn't. But notice he isn't focused on one topic. That is really important, because he's not changing what the debate is. So just keep that in mind.
Experience and situational ethics stem from the human need and human interest. Reason and intelligence are the most effective instruments we possess. We are not advocating for the use of scientific intelligence independent of or in opposition to emotion, for we believe in the cultivation of feeling and love. Individuals are precious and their dignity is affirmed. This is important. Us, human beings, affirming the value of individuals and human beings is more powerful than a God affirming it, and it's infinitely more powerful than a human claiming a God affirms this, which is all we appear to have. The third version of the manifesto, in a nutshell, is so short. Whether God exists or not, we have problems to solve. We have to do this without appeals to supernatural entities or intervention. We must utilize the best methods at our disposal. Reason and science seem to be the primary ones to assess reality and reach conclusions. Justice, fairness, equality, and autonomy are the primary goals. This life, not a hypothetical afterlife, is what we're trying to improve. So what happens when religions control societies and governments, either legitimate or illegitimate?
Okay, so now he's moved on to the impact that religions have upon society when they control government. Now, he's not being specific, he's giving a general overview, and it is a different topic than whether the reality of religion is informing your worldview. So he's moved on to another topic, and there's a reason I'm pointing this out.
Well, conflicts with other societies and other governments may not have any reason to diplomatic solution. You need only look to Gaza. But that's Islam and Judaism. Here we have Christianity as a primary and Christian nationalism. Under secular humanism, you get to be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, gay, straight, socialist, capitalist. You just don't get to impose those necessarily on others through acts of fiat. Not necessarily true with the religions in charge of the government. Mike Johnson's the new Speaker of the House in the United States. He's homophobic as all get out. He's argued to criminalize homosexuality. Homosexualities, by the way, are U.S. citizens with specific rights that he wants to take away. Moreover, he has...
I believe Andrew would love to criminalize homosexuality and any LGBTQI, any deviant behavior, as he calls it. And another thing is I'll go through this as long as I can stand. I might end early if I'm sick of this guy, because he really is awful. But yes, he is on one spectrum. The fact that he calls himself Big Papa Fascist is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Where he advocates for gay conversion therapy, which is unscientific and torturous, because he thinks he can help them pray the gay away, and the gay can be eliminated. He's not anti-gay. He just wants them to cease to exist as gay. They get to keep being human beings. He thinks there's no right to sodomy. Privacy laws don't protect everything, and he thinks that what sort of sex you have, it should be his to regulate. Sodomy, by the way, is anal or oral copulation, which I have it on good authority, heterosexual folks engage in as well. 2022, he presented what was called the Don't Say Gay Bill, outlawing any discussion of gender identity, sexual orientation, or related subjects, which was incredibly problematic because he ignored what the experts have to say about age-appropriate content and how critical it is, especially for kids under 10, which was his target, to have correct language in order to better report on and about sexual abuse. His policy, if it had been implemented, would have made it more traumatic for kids and more difficult for them to out their abusers, and easier for abusers to get away with it. Happily, it failed. In 2015, he blamed abortions and the breakup of the nuclear family for school shootings. He also says the teaching of evolution is to blame for mass shootings because we've taught a whole generation, a couple generations now, of Americans that there's no right or wrong, that it's about survival of the fittest. And if you evolve from a primordial slime, what is that life of any sacred value? He wants student-led prayer back in school. So, speaker, are you okay with Islamic prayers, satanic prayers, or just particular Christian prayers? He's opposed to the separation of religion and government, sometimes called the separation of church and state. He thinks that the founders only wanted to protect the church from the state and didn't want to protect the state from the church, citing the notorious lying pseudo-historian David Barton to support this view. He definitely seeks to impose his views on others. Now, some of you are saying, hang on, he's the Speaker of the House, he's not the Speaker of Christianity, or that's not my type of Christianity. Great. But what is your type? What's your type of Christianity like? Because there's a lot of them. How is it better? And how can we make sure that we get your better version than the one that Mike Johnson wants?
And why isn't your type of Christianity speaking up against this? You know, I remember when Rebecca spoke up in support of the trans community. I wanted to sort of acknowledge that. Bread of Life said straight off, like, you know, these are people, and you know, it's important that we atheists can speak up all we want. It's important that the Christians that don't believe in this sort of Christo-fascist state should speak up as well, because that's exactly what they're proposing. I don't use that term lightly. It is Christo-fascist. It's basically having your religion as a central apparatus of the state. It's horrific.
And I am happy to say that, at least in my experience, most of the Christians I've met are more on the tolerant side. But it is the less tolerant ones seem to be louder about it.
And not on YouTube. Like, it is sometimes hard to find a Christian to engage with in YouTube that will not have essentially a Christo-fascist in their chat rooms yelling about how you know, everybody should have the weapons that the government should have, or how the rules of the Old Testament still apply to the LGBTQI community. And the problem is, and the thing that I wanted to bring up is, the rest of the Christians that I've engaged with, say, doing, you know, room rumbles, rarely can contradict them. They don't speak up and go, hey, that's way, you know, that's way across the line. They hate secularism so much that they're willing to go, oh, well, we'll talk about this in private rather than public. In public, we all support one another because we're all Christians. And then in public, we're gonna talk among ourselves and disagree where no one can see it. And if you do that, you're kind of putting yourself on side of those Christo-fascists, because if you're not willing to speak out in public, it's pointless, because they're going to say that awful stuff, and the Christians know it, but they don't. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I've had a couple of times where they've spoken up, kind of thing. Somebody made a Jewish comment, and Dustin Buck spoke up, which was really good. You know, and sort of said, what are you doing? Like, stop saying what you're saying. And it's like, that's good to see, but I don't think that happens a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
He thinks his version is correct. So do you. Countless denominations without consensus. He's already got more power than my opponent has right now. So I don't know Andrew at all. I don't know what version of Christianity he's advocating.
Oh, you don't want to know Andrew. You don't want to know this person. Like, seriously. It's yeah.
I didn't bother looking him up. We literally just said hello as I sat down here. Is his version of Christianity better? I really hope so. It'd be hard to pull up.
Be prepared for disappointment, and yeah, expect the worst, Matt. You'll never be disappointed. Yeah, no, he's actually worse. He's actually worse.
Worse. But they point to the same book. They point to the same savior, the same history. Liberal and moderate Christians provide legitimacy and cover to hide the fundamentalists and to allow them to engage in Christian nationalism. Secular humanism allows you to be a Christian. right up until you try to impose it on others, and then you get to keep being a Christian. You just don't get to practice it in the way where you're imposing it on others. You can pray, you can go to church, you can tithe, you can worship, gather, share, discuss, convert, vote based on your values. You can vote against your own best interest. I see people doing all the time. You can teach your kids your values under secular humanism. The foundational principles of secular humanism solve conflicts with data, debate, and discussion instead of coercion, conversion, or conquest. There is no secular humanist sect and no denomination of secular humanists that's ever required someone to believe something that is not empirically verifiable, that's ever ordered the death of another person, that's ever ordered or acted to act or destroy property of any person or government, that has ever overthrown a democracy to impose a secular humanist regime, that's ever been connected with terrorists.
Yeah, so secular humanism, it's not a political movement. Like, there's no secular humanist party kind of thing. And they don't really want to impose secular humanism as a state apparatus, unlike, you know, Andrew, who obviously is going to want to. So, like, but do notice that he's covered a whole wide range of topics, like things that he sees why Christianity is currently failing. Now, keep in mind, Christianity is failing. There's by 2070, Christians will, like, even under the most conservative estimates by polls and statistics, Christians will no longer be the majority in the United States, and probably a lot sooner, because we're really, I think we're really growing as a people, or some parts of it are growing, but some are being held back. And I don't think that most people are on board with sort of Andrew and this Speaker of the House's ideas of Christo-fascism. I don't think they are. I think that most people, even Christians, are kind of horrified by the idea that, you know, we should lock up gay people, or we should, you know, make prayer mandatory in schools and things like that.
Just especially with the gay people bit, just because I feel that might be a little relevant later. Like, this isn't the 70s anymore. Like, almost everybody knows a gay person, and if you know a gay person, then you know that they are a person.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just hear about them from your pastor anymore. No, you meet them and you're like, oh, they're just like me.
And the thing is that about 60% of the population sort of supports gay rights, for instance, and that is worryingly low, but it's still higher. It's still the majority. Now, there's a lot of reasons why the conservative Christians have so much power, like, you know, power which is in the Senate especially, and in the thing, the way the American system is done is incredibly problematic. The political system. That's an aside. For the moment, I want you to focus on that Matt has gone through a number of different points, number of different problems with Christianity. He has addressed. He hasn't said, like, oh, I want to make this about Christianity. He said, okay, there are these problems, and here is what secular humanism has to offer. None of these systems are perfect, but he's sort of pointing out the differences between them.
Yeah.
Terrorist cells and activities, that's ever denied freedom of speech or expression, that's ever called for the deaths of people for criticizing secular humanism or any religious view, that has ever advocated for or inspired suicide bombers or terrorist attacks. Those things are simply not consistent in any way with the core values of secular humanism. There is no threat to Christians, Jews, Muslims, Scientologists from secular humanism. There might be from scientific skepticism and rationality if you're not able to actually demonstrate the truth of your claim. But life, freedom, and an equitable relationship are the foundation of secular humanism. There is no list of thou shalt not or thou shalts, because we recognize that nearly every attempt at such a list fails at some point as we learn more about our world and about getting better at understanding the world better, about doing better, and being better in this life. The goal of humanism is a free and universal society in which people voluntarily and intelligently cooperate for the common good. If you have an objection to that or a better goal, what is it?
And that's a good opening. That's perfectly wraps it up. brought up some problems with Christianity, brought up what secular humanism has to offer, brought up sort of all of these issues, didn't really focus on any one. Yeah.
And like just him not focusing on anyone, like I feel he's just bringing them up to discuss later. Like, I feel it's a fine thing to do. So that, do you not agree with that?
Oh, I think there's a number of points you can investigate. There's things you could talk about. You could talk about how, that's the worst of Christianity, but he's pointing out the worst of secular humanism is, what's the worst of secular humanism's ever done? Now, it's kind of, you could discuss that that's kind of unfair because we've never had a secular humanist government kind of thing, because nobody's ever implemented it as a system. But the whole point is that Matt doesn't want it implemented as a system. I don't want it implemented as a system. All that's required is that we just sort of have secular bodies, and it's supposed to be a guide to how to make societies better, not a pronouncement of some kind of moral authority. But that's where we're getting wrong, because every time someone pronounces a moral authority that, hey, this is how you should derive morals, and it has to be this way, because that's how it's been. You quickly get into sort of these problems with not treating people well. So I think he's brought up a lot to digest. There could have been a very interesting and passionate conversation in here if there wasn't just a child in the debate. And I'm not using that term lightly. Okay, I don't want to use that lightly, because what we're talking about here is the way and how we're going to organize the world, and we're really talking about what this world and its societies are going to be moving into a new generation, moving into a new standard of industry. Now, the fourth industrial revolution, if you didn't catch my debate on that, the fourth industrial revolution has just happened. Okay, we're going to be even more connected than ever before, right? The Internet of Things is happening. I deal with it a lot. At the moment, there is about 3 devices for every person on the planet. That's where it's at. We estimate in about 10 years, there's going to be 10 devices per person on the planet. You will basically be connected with the rest of humanity. Yes, so you're talking about roughly 80 billion devices. We're moving into a place where our toughness and our sort of physical presence is no longer a factor. You don't have to be a big, strong person to work in the mines anymore. We have automation, we have robotics, we have all of these things taking over. It is a different world now, and we have to acknowledge that. Really, Matt's proposing a sort of leaving old things behind that don't work in the new world. As I pointed out before, many times, what does the Bible and Christian morality say about some of the things that we're going to have to engage with? What does it say about automation and robotics? How do you even apply that? What does it say about? Yeah.
Well, I mean, was Adam a robot?
Was Adam a robot?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, it's just, if he was a robot, then the Bible could be construed as pro-robotics.
Sure, I'm not sure that would be the case. You'd sort of expect a Christian to say, I don't believe Adam existed at all, basically, but you expect a Christian to sort of say, well, they've got the spark of life, therefore they're not, so I would expect that to be the case, or the breath of life, or whatever, what have you. But moving forward, we're going to have to address some of the things that is going to be brought up by the fourth industrial revolution, or industry 4.0, as we're calling it. Things like AI rights, what does the Bible, how can we look to the Bible to address that? We're going to have to look at planetary colonization. How are we going to look to the Bible to address that? I've got a funny feeling that if we do, half of them are going to say, hey, God said go forth and multiply so that we should colonize, and half would say, no, God gave us the earth, we shouldn't. Now, it's so hard to get, because it's all just up to your personal interpretation. Whereas secular humanity can go, what's best for humanity? What's best for humans? So I think that he's got a really good presentation, and maybe I'm filibustering because I don't want to go on to the next bit, because it is hard to watch. So again, please be aware, this is a very, I would call him a disturbing individual who has some very disturbing opinions. I don't think he was here for a debate, so I've kind of lied in the title, because this isn't a debate. Only one person showed up for a debate. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts before we start this off?
Well, I mean, maybe Matt will Google the next person he's going to debate. He mentioned he didn't look this guy up.
Yes, and he didn't look up Howard Stirrup either, and I think he really has to. And I'm doing the same after that Ross debate. I mentioned it in the Howard Stirrup debate, but yeah, I've got to know who I'm debating. It's not enough to go, oh, they want to debate morality, or they want to debate flat Earth. It's like, you really should look them up. And I will get onto that. Somebody in the audience, I do apologize. I think it was Peter Carling, asked if I'm going to be debating. I do have an answer for you. I think that am I going to be debating on modern day debate? Not serious topics. I think that we've got a problem between what's entertainment and what's intellectual discourse on YouTube. I think that modern day debate is leaning more towards entertainment, and
yeah,
I'm not going to hassle anyone for that. YouTube is, it is a platform that people do entertainment. I'm not going to begrudge anybody that, especially as I've done entertainment streams, I've done birthday streams, I've done streams where I go through Reddit, I've done all kinds of, like, I'm not gonna be hypocritical and begrudge modern day debate for going towards more the entertainment. And if to quote V for Vendetta, if you want to look at the culprit, we need only look in the mirror. Like, people tune in to the dumpster fires, people tune in for the entertainment of it. And I get that. Sometimes it's a guilty pleasure, isn't it, to sit down and watch just things melt down, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
a little bit.
Yeah, but I think there's a problem with treating a serious subject that deserves intellectual discourse as entertainment. I think that's the problem.
I agree with that.
And I have been thinking really hard about this. I don't blame modern day debate for going into more the entertainment side. I'm sure it does way better than the normal side. But I've got to be aware that they are doing mostly for entertainment. So I think that subjects like flat Earth, flat Earth is just, it really is just a joke. It really has no teeth whatsoever. It's just ridiculous topic. Things like yeah, I think that things like does a God exist? Is this moral? Where is the source of morality? I think that it needs to be treated with more seriousness than that. And keep in mind, and I want to show this with you, and I'm sorry to have to do this, but I'll share this tab. This is Matt debating Jordan Peterson in a forum, right? This was on I believe it was on, I can't remember where it was from, but yeah, it was basically a serious discussion.
We take it with due seriousness. I specifically don't think that the celebrity atheist types, who I actually have a fair bit of respect for, by the way, take it with due seriousness. So I don't think that they take it with due seriousness from a biological perspective or a phenomenological perspective or a literary perspective or a metaphoric perspective. That'll do for starters.
So I just want to point out that Jordan Peterson here is saying that atheist people aren't taking it with due seriousness. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry, I could boost this, but it's more. He's saying I don't think atheists take the Christian question with due seriousness. I think we're taking it way more seriously than the average Christian debater out there. Now, I don't agree with anything Jordan Peterson's got to say. I'm very, very against him. I don't like what he's got to say at all. I disagree vehemently with what he's got to say, but at least he talks about it with this appropriate seriousness that the topic deserves.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas with modern day
least...
debate, it usually just devolves into like a shouting match.
Correct. And we'll talk about that afterwards, but I'll start this running again.
Thank you so much for your introductory statement. We're going to hand it over to Andrew Wilson for 2 minutes. So thank you for being here, Andrew. The floor is yours.
You're welcome. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Wilson. I'm the host of the one and only Crucible, the fastest growing debate channel on the internet. James, I just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, so he runs a debate channel as well, which is why he may be doing what he's doing, because there's going to be blowback from this one, a lot of blowback. And it worries me, like when I follow the money, and when if you're wondering who's after what, follow the money. And really, he doesn't lose anything by this being an absolute crap show. Right. In fact, it may benefit him, because if people hate what happens, that's good for his channel. I don't know if that was his intention. I don't know whether that's what he was trying to do, but yeah, there it is. It doesn't hurt him at all, because he runs a debate channel that is in competition with thing. And yes, Sydney, he did have his own cameraman at the debate. Yes, he did. I don't know why James is allowing that. I have no idea. I think James is actually, if you meet James, he's actually a really nice guy. Some things I disagree. Obviously, I disagree with him on Christianity, but he is a very nice man that helps people a lot. And he's actually being very understanding and sort of, very, very nice to me. And I don't think that's made up. I think that he's actually a nice guy. So I can't help but feel that he doesn't. This is not what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, hell, how much does MDB donate to charity every month? It's got to be in the hundreds at least.
What's that?
Well, how much does MDD donate to charity every month? It's got to be in the hundreds at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and that's something I want to bring up. I think that they do try to do good, but he's going to do whatever people will watch, because that gets him the best numbers. I don't think I can begrudge him for that. I don't think that anybody can sort of begrudge you for saying, hey, I want my channel to succeed. I'm going to do what people will watch, and therefore which will make my channel a bigger entity kind of thing. Having said that, I have misgivings that there needs to be a place for serious debate, like Jordan Peterson talking with Matt Dillahunty. Now, I disagree with Jordan Peterson, but it was an intellectual conversation by adults, and I want to stress this, adults, about how the world ought to work, what we ought to be doing, how things are actually only one adult showed up to this debate. I'll put it like that. Only one person was talking like an adult.
All of you are way too stodgy in this room, very low energy. Just want to let all of you know that. Ladies and gentlemen of all pronouns, the Z's, the Zers, the hims, and hers, I would like to thank you for tuning in today for this exciting in-person conference on modern day debate. My name is Andrew Wilson. There's a few ways this debate can go. The topic is Christian ethics versus secular humanism.
That isn't the topic. That wasn't the topic. But, you know, I guess it's close because... So the topic was which will win, or secular humanism versus... Will secular humanism beat Christianity? Right now, secular humanism could have the worst ethics ever and still beat Christianity, and you could point out why. I think he's close to the topic. It's close enough to have a debate on it. Is that the topic he's going to debate? Hell no.
Which has a better foundation? The funny thing is, I already won that topic because, as Matt explained to Jay Dyer, he has no justification under the skeptical.
You already won that. And he didn't say it doesn't have any justification.
Belief structure to give an accounting for any meta-ethical presupposition he may have. He just kind of grants himself stuff. He grants himself logic, he grants himself reason, he grants himself an entire worldview, even though he's using an unjustified starting position for it. So I'm not honestly all that interested in doing the God not real though debate, because one, it's boring, and two, it's also really boring. It goes like this. I don't see enough evidence and remain unconvinced there's a God. Then I say, but you use a theistic worldview of justification like there is a God, you grant yourself logic and everything else. So instead of that, I'm just going to grant Matt's entire worldview.
Okay. Here's the thing. He just gave up the debate. He is now in a corner and about to be absolutely decimated. Now, Matt realizes this, and he's sort of going, where is this going?
2/3 or more of the planet, of this entire planet, are all operating inside of a shared delusion that they were created by a sky daddy who loves him some slavery and murderousness. He thinks it's funny to kind of cosmically with people. That's his deal, kind of his whole thing. That's Matt's worldview. So now Matt's right, and the question becomes, should we let them to continue to believe in this nonsensical Stone Age madness, or do we stop them from engaging in it?
Okay, so this is the crucial point, right? This is the crucial point. So you have to ask, you've just granted all of that. You've just granted that you're living in a delusion where you hear voices and it's just your particular set of madness and delusion that means that you're just doing this stuff because you're insane. Okay, now I'm not making that up, right? I'm not saying, hey, this is what he is. I'm saying he just granted that as a given, right? So the one question becomes, which is better for humanity? A system based upon what is best for humanity and how we implement science and our rationality in order to find out what's best for humanity? Or some lunatic listening to the voices in his head and just doing stuff because his imaginary projection told him to. This is the death of Andrew's argument, because he just granted that he's an insane person making it up as he goes along. His argument's dead right now. It's dead in the water, because he can't argue now that, oh, but it comes from this omniscient, omnipresent, this all-knowing person that gives us these values. No, you're a lunatic. You've just conceded that you're a lunatic. And now the lunatic wants to argue that his lunacy is the best thing to guide humanity. I can't think of a worse position for a Christian to put themselves in a debate right now. I can't imagine it. I mean, can you, Doc?
Oh, I mean, maybe he can dig himself a deeper hole, is all I'll really
Sure.
say.
And he could always go back and say, well, obviously God is real, so that doesn't apply. Well, sure. But then you shouldn't grant that concession, right? You shouldn't grant the concession that you're a madman with just delusions if you want to argue that it is God that gives you because that road leads you to, well, you rely on logic and reason, I rely on insanity. it's a dead argument. And that was the most important part of the debate when he conceded that. It was the most important. And I don't know how many people actually saw it, but he just absolutely destroyed himself with that one statement, because he then has to backtrack and say, oh, no, but God is real, so I'm not conceding that anymore. And then you're back at square one. You've said nothing.
My contention is, even if God isn't real at all, that people acting as though he is still superior to whatever nonsensical egalitarian worldview Matt can come up with.
Yeah, but why? But you're not saying why. And there's been a super chat. Well, I wasn't ready for this. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Super chat from Peter Guns for $1. Thank you, Peter. Really appreciate it. That's awesome. I don't know if you meant to write a message or not. If you did, just drop it in the chat and I'll highlight it. But if it is just a tip, your servant, sir. Or ma'am, whichever you
Matt
use.
Also just acts as though the things he believes are true.
Yeah, so the whole point is, why would people listening to the voices in their head telling them to do stuff arbitrarily be better for society than rationally and using science to figure out what's best for humanity? He's basically conceded that it's all just a delusion, but still acting like it's not a delusion, right? He's still acting like, oh, but yeah.
Well, just trying to steel man him here. Like,
okay.
You could argue, well, I'm not saying I agree with this, but he could argue that the populace living in fear of a false delusion, I guess, could help keep them in line. Like that's a fairly typical Christian argument, isn't it?
Well, I think any delusion, like we could easily point out that it is an accurate reflection of reality that is going to get you to the best outcome. I don't think that's a very good argument, because you could sort of say, hey, people living in fear of the dictator of North Korea can read their thoughts, keeps them in line. It doesn't make a better society. It's when you are aware of reality that makes the better society. So I don't think that's, and if you're delusional, how are you supposed to evaluate what's a better society?
And I just want to make it clear, I do agree with you. I was just trying to steel man his position.
Well, you don't need to, and I'm gonna attack you if you put up a position that is, I feel is incorrect. No. Oh no! Well, I'll attack your position, not you, Doc. I don't mean I'm going to grab you in a headlock and rear naked choke you into submission. The whole point is, if you are a delusional madman listening to the voices in your head, why should we even listen to you on what is a better society? Why wouldn't we listen to a sociologist who is using science, rationality, and reason to formulate a better society and what's best, rather than a self-confessed madman who is dancing to the voices in his head? Like the whole thing becomes nonsensical. So this is the most important part of the debate, that Andrew's basically saying, hey, even if I'm wrong, I'm right. No.
He believes, and therefore acts as though logic is real, math is real. Everything is real based on his presuppositional belief.
So logic isn't real, math isn't real. Yeah, everyone's got to make presuppositions, sure. I don't get his point. Like, is he saying math isn't real? Well, no, it's an abstract. It's a language to describe things, but I don't know what his point is.
Well,
belief that they are real.
So I think the problem is that he's a presup, right? This is a presup argument. You think math is real, you think logic is real, you think morality is real. Well, I'm going to presuppose that they came from a god. That's his argument. Yeah. That's his entire argument. Like, you can't show where they came from. I'm going to presuppose a god. I win because I presuppose a god, so therefore it is correct. No. Claiming something doesn't make you correct. Presupposing something doesn't make you correct. In fact, presupposing something, you have to have the allowance that you could be wrong. But, you know,
You see, human flourishing.
he doesn't want to talk about that, right? He doesn't want to go into presup arguments. And, I don't blame Matt doesn't want to go into presup is so toxic and horrible. I don't blame him for not wanting to get into it. Yeah.
And it's just boring, frankly.
It's a non-starter. It's I'm right because I'm right. I'm right because I presuppose I'm right. I mean, what are you supposed to discuss out of that? Prove it. It's just there's a reason why no philosophy department in any university considers, even the Christian ones, considers presup any kind of actual philosophy that matters worth a damn. They just find it uninteresting. It's just I'm right. That's not a philosophy. That's a statement. Like it's silly. It's really silly.
I'm right.
Flourishing, a cornerstone of Matt's ideology.
Sorry.
But just I was referencing the change my mind meme. Like, I'm right, change my mind.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
And that of secular humanism is totally meaningless.
Well, actually, that's not true. It's more, I'm right and you know I'm right. It's presup.
Ah, fair.
Yeah.
Flourishing by whose metric? From my perspective, for instance, attempting to lie to people who claim men can be women isn't human flourishing.
Yeah, so this is and notice the loaded language. This is where it starts. So again, this person is a disturbing person with some disturbing views, views that are really bad, really bigoted, and really horrible. So be warned. I've warned 3 times now. I am not underestimating it. It is very difficult to watch. I hate that I'm doing this right now, but I think this needs to be addressed. I think it does need to be addressed. Most of all because he is absolutely terrible at debate, and I want to point that out.
And I guess I missed. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. What's up, Doc?
Well, haha. I guess I missed it when I was listening to this live, but he just dives into it, like no preamble or nothing, just go.
And doesn't line up any kind of evidence why it's a lie, why it's bad for society. He could have brought up all kinds of things. Really, he just is using his presup again to say, I presuppose it's a lie. I presuppose it's bad for society. Ergo, I win. It's the most nonsensical thing because it doesn't link to anything. It's just him claiming it. And you know, it's pointless. And Matt has realized what he's going to do in this. Now, let's see the amount of subjects he goes into.
From Matt's perspective, it is. Why? Why should the collective of humanity lie and say men can get pregnant? Why?
That's such a straw man. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, and he obviously, the thing that obviously is making him angry is trans women.
Yeah.
Because he's, like, you know, there are trans men, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's been I remember a lot of people pointing this out. They never go after trans men.
Correct.
Like, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care at all.
Almost like this is just a political thing and they don't actually give a crap.
Yeah, I think that after the American election, this will just die. They won't be beating their drum so hard. And the next election, they'll find something else to do. And the immigrants, LGBTQI, you know, next time it'll probably be people who play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know.
Oh no, that was
no idea. Sorry,
that was in the 80s.
Oh yeah, they'll probably this one has happened before as well. This is the thing. The LGBTQI panic has happened before.
Why should they say that men can have periods? Things which are categorically and obviously false.
It's because you don't understand what man and woman means in a societal context. It's because you refuse to acknowledge that man and woman are societal roles, and have more to do with traits that are non-physical than physical. That's the point. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yep. That preserving homosexuality.
Sorry, Doc, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I just said, yep.
Yeah.
Society is good for human flourishing, even.
And here's the thing. You could have a discussion over that, right? It kind of, the optics look bad. It's two guys standing around talking about trans issues and neither of them are trans, but that is a debate you could have. And I believe Andrew has in the past. Why bring it into this debate? Because you're not going through the problems with secular humanism. Secular humanism has no position on trans people besides treating people well is what we're trying to do. So we're trying to treat all people well, including trans people, because they're still people, regardless of what you say.
And I think that is the issue. He's against treating anyone that's not like him well.
Correct. Yes. He sees it as, well, if you're a white Christian, you are the epitome of that society. And he's not interested in treating anybody else well.
Even though they are reproductive dead ends. And that Western society and egalitarianism is superior to those evil theist society. Even
sorry, he just talked about how they can get pregnant. Like, they're not.
Well, and tell me you don't understand evolution without saying I don't understand evolution, right? So he's talking about reproductive dead ends as like, oh, evolutionarily, they're not going to be the entire species doesn't have to reproduce for us to continue. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you know, we don't need it. And plus we could still do IVF and things like that. There's ways around, like it's just like your understanding of things is so childish and simplistic. It just, oh, but if gay people can't reproduce, there'll be no more babies ever. What? You know, and I think that's tying into last week where the guy was so angry about surrogacy kind of thing. Surrogacy is a thing. And you know, IVF is a thing, and gay women can actually have children, and gay men could actually have children. You know, you can adopt, you can like, and the entire population isn't gay, and there's an overpopulation problem that we're looking like. All of this stuff, it's just so simplistic to go, oh, well, gay people can't have children, end of humanity. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but just like you said, tell me you don't know anything about earlier you said something about tell me you don't know anything about an issue without telling me you don't know anything about an issue.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The transition process doesn't sterilize you. That can be an option, but it doesn't necessarily do that.
Not necessarily.
Even though the Western nations can't even reproduce their own populations, but instead have to replace their population with foreigners from those theist nations that can reproduce. From the
theist nations that can reproduce. No. So tell me you don't know anything about sociology without telling me you don't know anything about so the reason why is because generally the cost of living and the cost of raising children is higher in first world nations. So less children are being born, not because there's suddenly an LGBTQI outbreak, dude. Like, what?
Yeah.
That isn't the reason why people are having less children. It's to do with social dynamics. It's to do with the way that families are orientated now. Like, nobody has 12 children anymore because that's almost frigging impossible in a first world nation. Yeah, he doesn't understand. That's not because suddenly everybody's turned gay. Like, seriously, dude. But this is the sort of transparent, two-dimensional, childish argument you get from someone who's really not interested in actually debating the topic. Keep in mind, this is between secular humanism and Christianity. This is what he's actually debating.
Let's start with a basic societal question recently asked of the West, who has now embraced a scientific and non-theistic approach to governing. Super basic question every kindergartner knows. If you don't believe me, go watch Kindergarten Cop. The question posed to the Western nation is, can a man be a woman? Right? To the question of if a man can be a woman, they say the answer is yes. And the way we will decree they can be a woman is by simply saying that woman now means male.
Okay, so Matt, seeing that Matt's taking notes, right? So at this point, Matt's taking it seriously because he's actually taking notes. He's going to stop in a little bit once he realizes what's going on. And I don't blame him in the slightest. So he's actually going, okay, this is one point. I think that Andrew could get away with this if this was one point of many. But this isn't one point of many. This is the crux, if you'll pardon the pun, of his Christian debate. This is he's not here to debate secular humanism versus Christianity. He's here to debate trans.
Badly.
That's what he's here to debate.
Problem solved. Thank you, secular humanists. Thank you.
Secular humanism isn't responsible for that. They never gave us that. That is something that has occurred in society for ages. Now, I also can point to studies that show that it's genetically and from a physiological standpoint, the brain of somebody that is trans is more like the opposite gender than it is their own gender. And so you could raise the point of, why would God put a female brain in a male body, or at least partially female, tendency towards female in a male body, and then blame them for what happens? That would make you a real asshole, wouldn't it? But this isn't a trans debate. So you could point that out, but it isn't a trans debate. So I don't know why you would bring up studies about trans and things like that. He just thinks that trans people make society worse. What's his evidence of this? What's his actual argument for this? There is no argument. There's no evidence provided that society's worse for having trans people in it. I just don't find he has an argument besides, I don't like this, therefore bad. That's all his argument is.
Yeah,
and the whole
much.
idea that he's saying, oh, we now have just redefined woman, a man into what was it? What do you say? A female into, hang on a sec.
Be a woman is by simply saying that woman now means male.
Woman nouns means male. No. What is wrong with you? That means if we redefine the word, that means everybody male like me would be a woman. Like, no one's calling you a woman, Andrew. This is the level of debate this man has. Oh, we've redefined male to mean woman. No, we haven't, and that's demonstrably true that we haven't, because no one is saying Andrew is a woman. This is a level of discourse. This is the level of straw man and representation the Christians have for them. That, hey, you know, if we've defined male as woman, well, I'm a male, therefore I'm a woman. No. That Doc's a male, they're a woman. No. Nobody has done that.
Yeah, he's a... Oh boy. Maybe been taking a little too much propaganda in and just spits it right back out.
Yeah, and the level of thought that he's had about this is really low. Like, he's just saying these things that make no sense. When you actually take logic and rationality and then break them apart, they make no sense whatsoever. You know, you could say, hey, we've redefined what a woman is. And I would say, hey, we haven't redefined it. There has been, like, the way that we judge what is a woman has always been the same, and it's got nothing to do with biology, and it's got nothing to do with your genetics, and it's got nothing to do with chromosomes. It's just a certain things we describe as feminine in nature. And we're acknowledging that some men, or some, sorry, biologically male people that have been born do have that feminine nature. And we're realizing through science it may be down to how their neurology and their genetics have played a role in their brain development. Now, I'm not, I'm not going to claim that categorically, but if that is the case, that it is genetics, well, you're a real asshole, aren't you? Because
I could be wrong, but
yeah.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I could be wrong. I think there is some genetic predisposition, but I'm not sure how much of a contribution it has.
Well, we're just starting to get a handle on what contributes to a person's neurology and psychology. Like this is all growing fields. When it comes to the brain, we're sort of just getting started on understanding how our brains work, what they're capable of, all of this kind of thing. And what's the best way going forward? Well, I'm going to read my Bible, or we're actually going to pay attention to the science of things. And if it is true that sort of changes in neurology are the how trans people are, I don't want to say created, but how they develop, then everybody going around saying, hey, you choose to do this is a complete arsehole, because it may not be a choice. And I don't think it's a choice. I really don't.
Yeah, from what I've heard it up. No.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like being gay. It's not a choice.
Right. It's not a choice.
You don't choose to be straight.
Correct.
Or you don't choose to be male. You just you feel it, and you are.
And it makes a lot more sense that people who are compelled to adopt the other, a non-cisgender, are doing so because of simply neurology and their thing, rather than, oh, I'm just going to do this because I'm a sinner. Like the level of understanding of Christians, and it's something that we're just beginning to understand, but we're not going to understand it by saying, hey, let's just ignore it, shove it under the carpet. No, we want to understand these things. Nobody has ever had a better outcome in the world by pretending something doesn't exist.
Problem solved. Thank you, secular humanists. Thank you so much. Nope, not kidding. Why, you ask, would people be this over-the-top stupid? Well, it's simple. The good is the good, man. We have to do what's good for human society and human flourishing. If you don't call these deranged lunatics something they obviously aren't, they might self-terminate. So in order to avoid that, we need to make everybody on planet Earth lie to them. This is human.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he's already determined it's a lie, right? He's already presupposed that it's a lie and not an acknowledgement of what is actually there. He's already presupposed that, secular humanism is wrong for doing this. And I might add, without any reasons given as to why that's the case. Why is it a lie? He hasn't said. He's just assumed that's the case. Why is it bad for society to acknowledge these people and give them self-actualization to be who they feel they want to be? Nothing. He's got nothing besides presupposition.
Just redefine shit, pretend it's true. How laughably absurd this worldview is. Matt will often say, I remain unconvinced.
Yeah, and this is the childishness of it. Nobody's redefining anything. We still have terms for people, cis male and cis female, to describe what they actually are.
Now we do.
Yeah, I know, Sydney. He just said deranged lunatics, and yes, that is. It gets a lot worse. So, I'm not going to understate how much worse it gets. Be prepared; it does get a lot worse.
Well, Matt,
But
I'm also going to use
well,
your standard. I need for you to 100% convince me beyond a shadow of a
Sorry, Doc, what was that?
I was just trying to say, like, we get more precise in our language over time as we learn more about things, and
Hmm.
just like language does change over time.
Sure, sure.
Like, you don't talk the same way your grandparents did. They didn't talk the exact same way their grandparents
Mhm.
did. And it's been
Yep.
that way for all of human history.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, absolute language changes, but I think conservatives, they don't like anything changing. They want the same word to mean what it was back in the day, because that's what I want. I want nothing to change, nothing to adapt, nothing to grow. I want to have society the way it was, regardless of how bad that society is. As long as, they're on top. If they're not on top, they don't want that society anymore. Let me give you the tip right now. And one thing I do want to say, like, and I am talking about the trans community. Like, we sort of say they, but trans people are not they. Trans people are us. They're us. They're exactly the same. They're just people with trying to live their lives and have a content life, a satisfying life, and love the people they love. And I don't know why they're sort of trying to other them so much. Like, oh, they're not a part of society, they've got their own culture. Oh, get over it. Tons of people, skaters, have their own culture. We're not going to the polls to rail against the skating community. They're us. They're part of the same society. Get over it. They're not going anywhere.
Like,
no shadow of a doubt that males can have.
there are Christian trans people. There are
Sure.
conservative trans people.
Sure.
Like, you just railing against all of them like they're just one single block isn't
Mm.
going to do you any favors when they're sitting in the pew next to you and you don't even realize it.
Well, people like this, that I would be amazed if he actually has a church he's associated with. Maybe there is, and I doubt that that church would allow trans people into it, kind of thing.
Well,
Can have babies. What's the answer going to be?
fair.
No, Andrew, you big stupid.
I said, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Though even if he doesn't have a church, many of his followers probably do.
Oh, probably, yes, absolutely. But I mean, on the whole side, apart from the sort of fundamental evangelicals, I don't know anyone that talks this way.
Yeah.
The Christians that I engage with, the Catholics, people like that, they don't talk this way. They don't talk this way. It's just the fundamentalist evangelicals that talk this way.
Stupid. Males can't have babies.
Sadly,
Men can have
very common in America. Please send help.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly Catholic over here, and they're not even that popular over here, to be honest with you.
Is Australia still a
just
majority
defined.
Christian nation?
Sorry?
Is Australia still a majority Christian nation?
No.
Okay.
It last census, it dropped to like about 46%, I think, something like that. So it's the first time that Christianity has gotten under 50%. So it's actually quite low. And the nuns actually rose to about 42%. So that stranglehold, well, this is a majority Christian nation, has been broken for the first time, and it doesn't seem like any signs of slowing down at all. Like, it is really ramping up. Now, one of the big problems I have that I read the other day is we still have prayer before Parliament, which I think is grievously wrong. And there is a petition. I might share it, actually. There is a petition to stop prayer in Parliament because no one religion should have prayer, like, especially since they're less than 50% of the population. I don't get why we're doing prayer before Parliament. It's really weird. So if you're Australian, sign this petition and get it sort of moved around. If you're not Australian, please don't. It is an Australian one. But you know, I'm looking at you, Ian. I'm looking at you, Sydney. I'm looking at you, John Raptor. I'm looking at you. Get this shared round to all of the people out there, and get it signed by Australians. They will be able to check on IP addresses. So yeah, let's not lie and sort of make, you know, pretend to be Australians. I mean, why would anyone pretend to be Australian? But yeah, I think that's really wrong.
Since you stopped being a majority Christian nation now, you guys must be just completely falling apart, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Your country must just be down and all, yeah, worse.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, I'll sort of talk about a contentious subject, that we had very stringent lockdowns for the pandemic, right? And nobody really minded. There was a few idiots that sort of protested and stuff, but you'll get there everywhere. But mostly people were like, yes, I want to help the elderly. I want to help people that are at risk. There was a lot of people doing the right thing, and it's inconvenient, but they were happy to do so. Like a lot of charitable behavior during that.
Yeah.
And people like, oh, you know, it's a fascist nation. No, people were doing it voluntarily. The government said, hey, this is the best way we can protect our people. And the people of Australia said, yes, let's do that, because that is something we can do to help each other. And the numbers show it, that the amount of death in Australia was proportionally below America, like just ridiculously below.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Like, seriously, that is something I do admire your country for. Like, that says a lot.
Yeah. So no, we didn't fall apart. We in fact sort of there's a lot of generosity. And Peter sent in another $1 super chat. I don't know if that's a repeat. Screw it, I'll show it again. Thank you so much, Peter. Really appreciate it. Again, if you did have something to say, I'm sorry if I missed. I think he's just tipping. He's just stuffing ones in my underwear, basically. So thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate it. I am now a stripper, apparently.
Oh, do Australians not have like some special term for strippers? Like a bungalows or something?
Thank you for that. No, they're just strippers. Okay.
Just define man to include females, dummy. Well, Matt, I remain unconvinced. I'd like Matt to convince me that if you are a man.
Yeah, and that's a straw man, because he's basically saying, hey, you know, just redefine this to the, that's not what we're doing. That's a straw man.
And you are having sex with another male, which would not be allowed in my version of a secular humanist worldview.
Look at the disgust on his face. That would not be allowed. Why do you care? Like, why do you give a shit? I don't get it. Like, why do you care what two people are doing in the privacy of their home? Who cares?
He also just said, in my secular humanist worldview, that then you wouldn't be a secular humanist.
Right. And you know, he's talking about in his world. So in his Christian Christo-fascist state, you know, you have sex with another man, they'd be beating down your door. I mean, like, it does sound like V for Vendetta kind of stuff, right? It really does. You know, the Gestapo beats down your doors because you dared to have some gay sex. Like, seriously, this is a nightmare world. Matt said that Andy Boy was nice before the debate. Oh yeah, I bet he was. You know, he thank you so much, Robin. And that's a $2 super chat from Robin Webster, who has got the rig. Beautiful. The milk hauler herself. Robin, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he sort of pretended to be professional right up until the point of the debate, and then he just, you know, let's be a child for the entire thing.
How is it that you're not just basically having sex with a guy with a wig on? I really want to know the answer to that.
So this is designed to anger Matt. That's what this is designed to do. He's not debating. He is basically in a playground teasing another kid. I don't think that the words arrested development could apply to anybody more at this point.
There's a few other words I would apply to him, but yeah.
Right. But I don't think you could, like, he's kind of the kid that goes, oh, well, I wasn't teasing you. I was just mentioning something. So he won't get in trouble with the teacher. It is childish 14-year-old behavior. And, you know, this is kind of where we're at now. Like, and I'm reminded of that debate that I did against Ross, where all he did was try to push my buttons and make me angry. That's what I'm reminded of. That's all he's trying to do. He's just trying to make Matt angry.
Answer to that question. Not just me, but all rational people who aren't lunatics also want to know why it's ma'am isn't a complete and total crock of garbage.
Yeah, and he just called Matt a lunatic. He just called every secular humanist that believes in trans rights lunatics. So he is calling people names. He's just doing it in a way. He thinks he's clever because he's doing it in a sneaky way that he can't be found out. It's not that sneaky. What you're doing is not that subtle. Like, this is the thing that amazes me. People go, oh, you know, that all people that aren't lunatics, like, you just called everybody that doesn't agree with you a lunatic. Why can't you understand that? It's not a stretch to figure out.
I mean, I don't think he's trying to be subtle. I think he is just trying to be an ass.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe he is just an ass. Maybe that's what he is. But keep in mind, he's only covered one topic so far. Okay, Matt went through multiple topics. He went through the effect of Christianity in the past. He went through what the basis of Christianity actually is. He went through how secular humanism differs from Christianity. He went through why secular humanism has the best thing for humanity in general and society specifically. He went through all of these different things, okay, different topics, different subjects, different points, different sort of theses, if you will. Andrew's only done one. Andrew's only done one. There's only one that he's covered, which is why we have a problem with what he's doing. And a member super chat for Ember, 6 months. Thank you so much, Ember. Andrew is another Daniel. He's trying to make hate. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I agree, Ember. I really do.
Because I remain unconvinced that it isn't a total lie and that these people don't just pervert the language to include their own perversions and then add human flourishing at the end.
Well, that's like saying, hey, we don't use gay to being happy anymore. It's a perversion of the language. I mean, come on, really? Really? That's not a perversion of the language. Words change meaning. They just do.
Gonna have a gay old time.
But that's the thing. Like, if you, like, what's a perversion of, did Shakespeare pervert the language when he made up so many words? Is that a perversion of the language? Is it a perversion of the language that we don't speak Old English anymore? What's a perversion of the language? Languages change. That's a reality. And when we're referring to something societally, it's got a meaning. It's so... this is a nonsensical argument.
Yeah. And I feel it's nonsensical because he's not trying to make sense.
Right. He's trying
to make Matt angry and get clips for his channel.
Yeah, trying to make Matt angry, get clips for his channel, rile up his own base to go, hey, yeah, and sort of take action. Yeah.
Law stopping 9-year-olds from having sex with each other. Not kidding. Now, I know this is going to sound a little bit totalitarian, but I would, in fact, create laws that made it a crime for a 9-year-old to have sex with their 9-year-old. I would hold the parents criminally liable for allowing this to happen in my evil.
Well, it depends on the circumstances, really, doesn't it? That's the whole point. It's a nuanced question. Yeah, I think it should be illegal for 9-year-olds to have that. It should be against the law. But who do we punish for it? Yeah, possibly if the parents are being negligent, absolutely we should hold them responsible for it. Absolutely. But we can't just hold parents responsible for everything their children do. It's not as easy as that. Like, what if they're, under the care of somebody else? Why should we hold the parents responsible? Shouldn't we hold the people who were caring for them responsible? This just shows that Andrew has no kind of nuance or understanding of these things. He just throws out a blanket statement and says, hey, it applies in all circumstances. No, it doesn't. It's a nuanced thing.
And Matt explains his actual position later, which, go figure, is much more reasonable than he's trying to make it out to be.
Yeah. Hold on, I got to reply to Jay because Jay's winding me up.
Oh no, I haven't been paying attention to the chat. What's going on?
Hey Jay.
In my evil authoritarian society, where I don't even let 9-year-olds have sex or the parents go straight to jail for negligence. Now, I think that's...
Yeah, what if they're under somebody else's care? What if they were tricked by somebody? What if like this is the simple-minded nature of the man. No matter what the circumstances, if a child does that, send their parents to jail. You can't just look at things in such a banal and just such a simplistic manner. But apparently he can. What if it was at school and the teacher should be responsible? This idiot doesn't even understand that. It's just the parents' fault. Blame the parents. I hope this guy doesn't have kids.
I'm kind of scared to know what his opinion on public schooling is in the first place. But
I don't think he likes it. I think he considers it indoctrination kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's better for human flourishing. I think maybe parents would be far less likely to let their 9-year-olds do that if they went to jail. Stupid me. Next.
What parents are letting their 9-year-olds have sex? Exactly. Could you give a few examples of that happening where the parents just let them, they're cool with it? This is the straw man. This is the straw man. That isn't happening. That isn't happening.
Next, I would in my authoritarian society decree that all simulated sex acts in public were criminal offenses and would make sure that all people went to prison for the crime.
What's a simulated sex act? What's
how totalitarian do you want to be? Can we hold hands? Can we kiss?
Right.
Like, how Puritan do you want to be?
Yeah. Can you touch a woman? Can they show their ankles? What's a simulated sex act too? Are you if somebody is getting married and they kiss, are we going to trash the wedding, arrest them for a simulated sex act? Like, where is your line? You're not explaining anything. You're just making these blanket statements. So yeah, that's that's Daryl. That's not surprising. It's yeah.
Oh, Iron Horse is drunk on MDD. Oh boy.
The crime of sorry.
Daryl says Iron Horse is smashed on MDD.
Yeah, that's not surprising. That's not surprising. I've mentioned it before. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a definition now. That's the point. We don't have any kind of definition, any kind of sort of categorization of what is and what isn't. It's just this blanket statement. Oh, I don't like people being kind or being intimate with one another. Let's arrest them all.
Assist with human flourishing, and I'd like to know why I'm wrong. Secular humanism.
No, you've got to argue why you're right. That's the thing. Like, we can say that you're wrong because we can point out that a society in which you're proposing, people cannot be themselves, and we know that's bad for people. When you self-actualization, the concept where you want to be who you feel you are inside is important psychologically, and I can quote a lot of papers on that. You're saying don't do that. It's very easy. It's very simple. Now prove why you're right. Why stopping people from being who they feel they ought to be is good for society. Go for it. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to assume it's bad for society because he's right, because God. Even though he conceded, he's just a crazy person listening to the voices in his head. He's conceded that already. So we have psychologists, psychiatrists, we have people examining what it means to be human, how we can get a healthy human, both psychologically, and the medical industry or the medical profession investigating how we can get a healthy human physically. And you want to say, hey, I'm a dude with voices in my head that are telling me stuff. Listen to me. Why that's bad for society? Man, where do I even start? Oh. Sorry, I'm going to go on a rant on this one. This one actually was just, I've been thinking a lot about this over the last week. I have. It's been, something is wrong here. Something is really wrong.
Humanism can basically be whatever the hell you want it to be. It doesn't.
No, it can't. Like, you talk about perverting language. Oh, secular humanism, you can go around murdering humans. What? I don't understand. I really don't. Hello, Doc, you there?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
there?
Sorry, I was just thinking.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sort of going really deep dive into this.
No, you're fine. Just like, I would not want to be in this guy's head. I imagine it's a cesspit.
And he seems like a very angry individual, like just angry at everything that the world is, doesn't fit with what he wants it to be. And the problem is, especially with fascists and these people, they are their idea of the perfect society is usually based in the past, and they're incredibly nostalgic about it. And it wasn't that great. They've got a sort of a dreamlike idea of how things used to be, that it was so fantastic. It's the reason why Trump has "Make America Great Again" kind of thing. Yeah, he doesn't understand that he's basically looking at the past in rose-tinted glasses. He's making this idyllic society out of what used to be, when what used to be wasn't what he thinks it is. I find it a lot, like people that say, oh, mental health wasn't that big a deal a while ago, and in the 50s. Yeah, it was. Mother's Little Helper used to be sort of alcohol and lewds, like it was there. It was just, it wasn't seen as mental health and was seen as, something different. Like, but they're
don't
living
worry
in
about her. She's just hysterical again.
Yeah, she's just hysterical. She's just having a woman's thing, or that guy's just a bit shell shocked kind of thing. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's sort of, you're living in a past that never happened.
It doesn't really need the principle of freedom or the starting axiom of freedom and peace in order to postulate whatever it wants. It's sloganeering. They're slogans. They don't mean anything. Hey, why do 9-year-olds need to be able to have sex in order to advance
kind of
humanity?
just hit me. Like, he sounds a bit like Ben Shapiro, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
just kind of hit in my head. Like, why does he sound familiar? Oh.
Humanity. Why do we need to lie about a person's sex in order to advance humanity? Why are these things necessary for human flourishing? Why are decency laws bad? Why would Christian ethics stop flourishing when the theist mandate is to reproduce, and the secular mandate is let's just all have sex and have fun, bro? That sounds...
So straw man again. That is not the manifesto of secular humanists. Let's go have sex and have fun. This man is not honest. He's not honest. So he's like sort of saying, hey, they're lying about this. They're lying. You're lying about the position of secular humanists. Why? Why do you get to go on a high horse and say, hey, they're lying about genders? No, you're lying about their position right now. Has any secular humanist said the objective of secular humanism is to have sex and have fun? No.
That sounds way worse for human flourishing. In fact, I would say not reproducing is the worst possible thing for human flourishing, because if there's no humans, how do you flourish? So I guess, in essence, step 1, I remain unconvinced. Step 2, I need to be convinced, so I'm no longer unconvinced. And step 3, but God not real though doesn't matter here. I've already granted it. To still demonstrate just how stupid this ideology actually is.
Yeah, so if God's not real, then you're listening to voices in your head for all of this stuff. You're basically saying, hey, just base it upon delusions. Good one. Why should we trust anything you've got to say if you're delusional? Yeah, and Matt's sort of stopped taking notes because he realizes what he's trying to do. He's only brought up one point. He's only got one point. And that's all.
With that, I'll yield my time, and I'm happy to get into it. Hey, James, I just sent you a message.
All right. We are going to kick it into an open discussion, so 50 minutes, and let's kick it.
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and dignify the preparation that I went through and what people work here for. You're so indignant. Keep interrupting me. I am. Okay. You're so indignant. Would the moderator like to step in so that I can finish? Oh, please, Matt. How dare someone have an opposing work? I'm not going to sit here and dignify what was supposed to be a debate about Christianity versus secular humanism, which one's better for the world. Yes. With someone who clearly showed up with an agenda that has nothing to do with that. Someone who refers to trans people as deranged lunatics who will self-terminate if you dare to question them. How am I wrong, Matt? Someone...
Yeah, and this is the thing that appalled me the most. We have a societal problem where there is a higher rate of death among trans LGBTQI in general. And like for someone to use that and laugh at it and sort of make it a point, like, and just make it worth nothing, like just doesn't give a shit about these people. How is that better for humanity? How is that better for society? Like
just mocking it. Like, what the hell,
yeah.
man?
And the reasonable Christians I've discussed this with agree. Like that is something that even shocked them. Like just making light of such a serious situation as people dying. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But whether or not you agree with the solution of this problem, why are you doing this? Like I don't, you know, what kind of Christian says, well, people are dying, but you know, we're not going to do anything to help them. Why be afraid of that? Because we don't want people to die, dude. Like it's a serious problem. But you know, why should you have to explain that to somebody? But of course, you know, this guy basically believes that, or he seems to believe, I shouldn't say he does, but he seems to believe that if you are sort of depressed and take your own life, then you deserved it because you weren't strong enough or some macho thing. I don't, you know who also commits suicide a lot? Veterans. And it's a problem. And it should be treated with the seriousness that the problem deserves. But of course, he's not saying that about veterans. You know, he's not saying, hey, we shouldn't try to help veterans. They, you know, just because we're afraid of them ending themselves or something. It should be treated with the seriousness that the problem deserves, not used as a weapon just to make somebody angry. you know, like why you would use the death of people just to make another person angry to win your debate is beyond me. And I mean, this isn't the only time he does this kind of thing. This is something I found off of Borsch's channel when he debated. He actually called this the most bad faith debate I have ever had. And I know Borsch has debated a lot of terrible people.
12, quote, Why Swedish Men, study 2014, Finland, study 2013.
So this is Borsch sort of pointing out about fertility rates and using studies, because now the background is that Borsch posted this study in the side chat, said, hey, there's this study, look at it, kind of thing. So he didn't want to read it. He didn't want to read the study. He didn't want to open it. He didn't want to look at it at all. He just said, no, I'm not looking at it. So Borsch reads it out for him, and watch what he does.
In recent years, fertility rates have begun to converge.
How long are you going to let this go on for, Alex? Are you just going to let him read indefinitely to filibuster the entire debate?
Andrew.
So he's interrupting because this study is saying exactly against what he said. It shows that he's wrong. So instead of actually letting him finish and then going, hey, but I have this to show otherwise, it doesn't cover this, to discuss things, instead he's going to interrupt and be difficult so that nobody can actually have a conversation about it.
Andrew, he is answering your question. He linked the article.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is
If this is true, he should be able to show me where the trend is reversed anywhere. It's not reversed.
Andrew,
it's not reversed in any of these nations. You're a liar.
You got to mute him, Alex. You got to mute him. That's the only way.
Okay, stop. Andrew, he did answer your question. He said Scandinavian countries. Right?
They're not reversed in the Scandinavian countries, is my point.
So keep in mind that Andrew has now interrupted and he's making his points, but not to Borsch, who gets to respond to them. He's just trying to get them out there when nobody can respond to them. He's basically just being a child in order to win the argument. It's like two children. One says, hey, but this is what happened and I have this, and the other one going, but mum, he did this. And you know, just yelling over the other person. It's childish. It's so immature.
So the
None of them are reversed.
problem is
He's
that
lying.
the problem is that
Teeth.
Andrew has literally nothing to offer, and he keeps asking me like, "How would you solve? How would you?" And now I'm literally reading out the exact goalpost that he's moved it to.
According to the article, it does sound like there was some reversal, unless I misread
Then
that.
all he has to do is give me the nation where I can look at the reversal in these birth rates.
Reading it.
Like, he's got on the screen multiple nations you could look up, and they've said the Scandinavian nations. And I don't think Andrew's dumb enough. Maybe he is. I don't think so, that he's dumb enough not to know what Scandinavian nations means, like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Iceland, things like that.
Eating it out.
Just name one. Just name one, bro. Name a single one. Name one.
Name one country for the sake of
yes, please.
The Nordic countries. So like Sweden.
Sweden's birth rate, you think, is on?
Yeah. So this is his thing. This is what he does. So using the moderator, interrupting, being childishly stamping his feet, that's essentially his power plays, essentially.
Someone who misrepresents a quote from a debate where I said I wouldn't make a law about 9-year-olds having sex being legal with respect to the 9-year-olds, not that I was in any way in favor of it and that I was actually opposed to it, which I addressed during that debate. But moreover, this is not remotely an honest interaction on the front of whether or not secular humanism is valuable. Because this, when he presented his position here, has nothing to do with secular humanism.
And he's right. The secular humanism doesn't hold a position on children having sex at 9, doesn't hold a position on trans people. It just says do what's... If you can show that something is detrimental to humans and humanity, then secular humanism will follow. But he hasn't. He's just said it is. He's just claimed, hey, it's a lie, lies are bad. Not all lies are bad.
Well, and it's not a lie either.
Well, it's not a lie. Yeah, that's my whole point. He hasn't demonstrated it's a lie. Not all lies are bad, but it's nonsensical, because not all lies are bad. Like, we have the example of, well, if you have, Nazis coming to your door, is the lie immoral? No, it's not. because protecting the Jewish family that you're hiding is a good thing. Not like, so his morals are simplistic at best. And he went ahead and lied to people about things. He lied to people about what secular humanism stands for. He lied to people about all kinds of stuff. So, you know, I don't. It's weird.
Almost like he could be a hypocrite when it suits his own ends.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think he's got a shred of sort of integrity to say, hey, if I'm going to say, hey, don't lie to people, I shouldn't lie. I don't think he's got that kind of integrity. I think he will do whatever to sort of get what he wants for himself. And the entire thing was designed to get Matt angry, which, you know, obviously somebody's partner is something that you probably shouldn't attack. And that's why our friend Iron Horse is banned permanently on my channel, because he attacked my partner. I totally understand that. I think that's fair.
It's all about me. Matt thinks. I'm given what Matt thinks. What Matt thinks. What's Matt's position? Matt's position. I came in with the Secular Humanist Manifesto. I came in with position.
Well, yeah, and he's got a point. He's not attacking what Matt's position is. He's attacking Matt. That's what he's doing. He's attacking Matt, and that's not right. So he's attacking Matt's life. He's attacking his lifestyle. He's attacking his partner. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And with positions that aren't just that aren't merely my position.
Oh, well, as long as multiple people hold the position.
This guy's not serious, and I'm leaving. James, if you want to refund, you
No, he's not serious, and he should leave. Matt's been in a room sort of debating, you know, really serious debaters about sort of the concepts that we're organizing our world around. This guy's a muppet. He's a muppet. He's a guy just making light of everything to get what he wants.
Well, good day, sir. And I'll cover.
Yeah, and you're laughing about the way this has gone. This could have been a serious conversation. But do Christians want serious conversations? That's the question.
Some Christians, yes. Him, absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely not. But we run into these people so often that reduce it to a garbage fire, you know, because I think that Christians have sort of soundly got their asses kicked over the last few years. They don't seem to do well in debates where they are reasonable, logical, and rational sort of interlocks between people discussing worldviews. So it seems to be that the easiest way for people like Andrew, who can't put together a thought in his head, can't connect any kind of rationality with what he's doing, is to just cause this. Yeah. And that's the precept tactic, isn't it? Cause a dumpster fire, no one can talk. I win. I win because you want a adult conversation and I don't. So I win. Right. You're a child. Fantastic. You have the mind of a child. That's great. Yeah, you win. And listen to this.
And I'll cover your refund,
Mr. Matt. He just said he'd cover my refund.
I would cover his refund.
You know that's binding, don't you? That's actually legally binding if you say that. You've just made a verbal contract. Oh, yeah, that's a verbal contract. You've just said you would.
I thought it wasn't binding until you've like actually had it written down and signed.
No, those verbal contracts exist. Verbal contracts do exist. Maybe I'm thinking in Australia, there's definitely verbal contracts over here. So if you tell somebody, hey, I want this kind of thing, and they go and get it for you, any agreement made by word of mouth is a verbal agreement. Can it hold up in court? Probably. He could probably make a He could probably make a case, because everything in law is kind of up to, sometimes depends, but he could make a case that he was joking and stuff like that. He could definitely make a case. But sort of at face, he's entered it. So it's like we do this kind of thing all the time, without realizing it, right? You go into a restaurant and you order something, right? There's a verbal contract that you are purchasing that thing. If it comes, you can't just say, no, I don't want it anymore, change my mind kind of thing.
Oh, so Ember has confirmed it is binding in the US if it's recorded. Huh.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just something I never heard of.
Yeah, it's binding.
No.
Nope. Oh, and he's really pleased with it. He thinks he's done well. This is the horrifying thing. He thinks he's done well. Well, yeah, if you want to say you've done well being a child in a playground, sort of, teasing a kid and then running away, yeah, you've done well. If you're talking about an adult debate about a serious topic, you have failed miserably. In fact, people are sort of going, oh, why did the atheists think they've won, kind of thing. Well, only one person turned up to this debate. Andrew didn't have an argument. He wasn't there to debate.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
If you're wondering why we think Matt's won, go and watch an actual debate. Not these garbage fires that happen, but an actual debate like Ken Ham versus Bill Nye, or William Lane Craig versus Sam Harris, or any of the other ones that aren't a garbage fire that I've done debate dissection on, and understand what a debate is. And what fascinates me is these conservatives want to basically trash the idea of debate is like one of the most highly held traditions that humanity has have, probably dating back to the Greek days where they used to assemble in an amphitheater and debate. You have failed to even show up, sir. That's what you've done. You've failed to
Eric and
anything.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I don't mean to talk over you. It keeps happening. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Doc. You're fine, mate.
Okay. But I think Eric in the chat wrote a concise a concise explanation of what happened here. The pigeon is proud it shat on the chessboard.
Yeah, basically.
No, I'm not going to dignify a debate with someone who walked in. It's trash talking and be smug and all of the things that he's doing right now. He's already said he will cover my expense. You don't have anything to worry about. This debate is over. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jackass.
Did you
Yeah, so Matt on his review sort of said that's the one thing he regrets, is sort of saying that he's a jackass. I completely understand why.
Mm-hmm.
He's not wrong. Matt's not wrong. He probably would have done better if he just left and as an adult and said, hey, this is a person that isn't worth my time, because it's not worth Matt's time. It's not. Matt wants to have serious debate, and I understand that. And this is a child at a clown show. It's just horrible.
Did you call me a jackass, Matt? Well, you and your husband have a good day, man. Have a wonderful day, Matt.
Yeah, and this is the level of engagement. And yeah, I don't agree with Matt calling him that, but that was so far, like, that isn't even hassling Matt, it's hassling his partner, and that's disgusting. What are you doing? Yeah, no, you're right, Christopher. Children are better than that.
Yeah. No, that was fine. I mean, if you're going to take a parting shot, I will too, man. Yeah. No, your parting shot's correct. Oh, man, tough crowd.
Tough crowd, yeah. No, this is exactly what he wants, because, like, if he actually had a serious debate against Matt, he can't. he can't, because he didn't give any reason as to why his worldview was actually correct. He just assumes it's correct, and he didn't give any reason as to why he just assumed it is correct. Like, he's got nothing to actually debate against. He is a hollow, vacuous, empty child with nothing to actually give in the form of debate. So all he can do is just turn it into a dumpster fire. Matt can't talk. He can't talk. He feels he's won because he's destroyed the interaction. Pigeon playing chess.
Yeah.
Proud, tough crowd. No, you guys got to cover your own costs. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is where he goes back on what he said. You got to cover your own costs. Sorry, you just agreed that you'd cover the costs. You just made a verbal contract, but you're too stupid to know that when you say that. Now, you could argue you were only joking, kind of thing. Probably hold up. But why'd you lie? Was it because you wanted to look good for the camera? You wanted to, I don't know.
I agree that what Andrew said wasn't helpful in that. Well, hold on, just let me actually talk, because I'm already addressing this, and you interrupt me still. Really, yeah, self-control, please. So, is Andrew, when you call people lunatics, that does come off as
the presentation of a correct worldview.
So,
your argument was a presentation of the correct worldview. That's not
really
an
demonstrated
argument.
that.
He didn't demonstrate any of that. A presentation. I'm correct, so I win the debate. That's my argument. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your epistemology? I have never heard somebody go, into a debate in even something like flat Earth and go, well, my argument is that I'm presenting the correct worldview.
Well, I feel Whitsitt has said some stuff similar to that, but I get what you're saying.
No. I mean, at least Whitsitt will actually talk about the sides and why one's right and why one's wrong. He doesn't just go in and say, "Hey, my side's right." That's it. Don't forget, he hasn't presented any reasons for this. At least Whitsitt presents reasons why he's right and why he's wrong. I mean, they might be pretty much gobbledygook and word salad, but at least they're reasons. He hasn't even done that. He has literally gone in and said, "My argument is that I'm right." Wow, I've never seen such a vapid, useless argument. Its banality of that argument is just, it blows the mind.
But at the same time, I can't help that Matt left. I would like Matt to refute and explain to Andrew, hey, here's why calling people lunatics isn't an argument, and this is intellectually lowbrow. But I can't help that Matt left. I'm sorry about that. So if you want to email me, I'm at moderatordebate@gmail.com. I can give you my number if you want to email me first and we can talk. But
yeah, Matt couldn't address his opening without changing the topic. He wanted to change the topic. He wasn't there to debate the topic. He just wasn't.
But I think we'd agree that calling people names isn't an argument and it's lowbrow.
I didn't call anybody any names.
At the same time, my preference would be that Matt would.
Yes, he did. He called the trans people lunatics, and he told everybody that supports the trans people or believes that trans identities are valid are lunatics. He absolutely called people names while conceding, giving the concession that he was a lunatic. And that's not me calling him a name. He conceded that, hey, I can concede and will concede that these voices that I think are God are just voices in my head and I'm a lunatic. So it's the real shame about this is that his arguments were so absolutely pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
That Matt would kind of explain that for the internet to see. I think that's why we hosted these debates. Is that
I'm just going to skip.
Yeah, I was going to say we can have somebody speak in mic unless.
Yeah. Do you want to go through the Q&A
Does he-
or?
There was some points I wanted to touch on. I did want to touch on some things. What do we like for time? Yeah, so I did want to touch on some stuff. At least, really, he did a victory lap in the last half hour. And he's been doing a victory lap ever since. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I suppose it is because he got Matt to walk out, but that's not victory. That's really just changing the topic and being a dishonest interlocutor and getting somebody to walk out on you because they are way better than the sort of childish things that you've done. I don't know. I'll just play the last bit, which is hilarious, which is Grayson.
Like, I'm just asking, like, do you have people that believed in these views because I thought they made more sense?
Okay. Beneficial versus valid. You're saying your view is valid, but is it beneficial? Is it useful? Is it utility?
Yes, I think it's maximum utility to not lie to people. I think that has the maximum utility. I think it has maximum utility not to hold people emotionally hostage. And
so he doesn't understand what utilitarianism is. He doesn't understand. So if your utility is the flourishing of people, the betterment of people, or the health and happiness of people, like I gave the example, if you're in a house and there's criminals knocking on the door asking to see your roommate, and you know they're going to kill you and your housemate, the best thing to do is lie in that example for utility. So he doesn't even understand what he's talking about. Because in that case, if your utility is the health of people, telling the truth would be detrimental to that. So he doesn't understand how it even works.
And tell them that we will self-terminate if you don't validate an identity you know is a lie. That is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. Do you have positive relationships with your family members? Like, I'm just asking, like, do you have people that love you in your life?
I don't. It's a sad tale.
Okay. Well, then I can understand your worldview better.
It's a sad tale.
Yeah, and I think I believe he has family members. I think he's got it's either a wife or a daughter, or it may be both. I'm not sure. But this guy's being he's basically and this is something that I saw on Destiny's channel, which I found hilarious because he's going around sort of telling everybody how much he won and how things have gone. So this is what I saw on Destiny's channel.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. This is essentially what he's doing. Because if your intention is to have an adult debate about what is best for humanity and how we can have the best for humanity, how we can, or even what ought to be done, a morality debate, you've failed completely because you wanted to dumpster the debate. You did. That's what he did. But the problem is he thinks he's being subtle about it. He thinks that he's being really sneaky and he's done this amazing thing and, he's won and he beats his chest. Nobody won out of this. If anybody, Matt won because he was the only person who turned up for the actual debate. This guy turned up for a kindergarten argument that meant nothing. And so we come to the part that I really wanted to talk about. What's the future of debate on YouTube? Should we be engaging with this or not? Should we be doing the same thing and going down to their level? And I would say no. These topics are too important to just go down to their level and argue and just call the person a delusional idiot that is seeing imaginary friends and finding because we could dumpster this as well. We could absolutely dumpster it, but why? Is that actually going to help humanity, or is a reasoned conversation with logic and sort of at least some modicum of respect be better?
I mean, like I feel when you debate, it is important to, well, depending on the seriousness of the debate, but treat it with some gravity, because even if you don't change, say, your opponent's mind, you might change the mind of someone in the audience, and that can have a ripple effect that it improves or not, well, not, I was about to say disproves, that helps or hinders someone else's life. Like, if it's flat Earth, you can lead them towards accepting science or science denial. If it's the age of the Earth, same thing.
Well,
and
it's important to note that in the after show, the atheists from Modern Day Debate, which was Ozian, Grayson, Leah Filius, and there was a couple of other people. I think they sort of, I'm not sure who they were. They were joined by a Christian who was appalled by what she'd seen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And she said, I'm a Christian and I cannot stand this. And it's like, yeah, I don't blame you. But and so I get what you're saying, like have seriousness for it. And there are, we have to remind ourselves that there are debaters out there who are Christian and they are debating with seriousness. Like you get the Kanekis, what's his name, Cliff and Stuart. They do debate with seriousness. I've got no problem with them. They get passionate. They get a bit up in arms. I think Stuart's a bit better than Cliff, but at least they're treating the subject with some sort of sort of gravity rather than just making it a dumpster fire. So I think that they're definitely out there, but I think that the other Christians really should be speaking out against this kind of thing. And I think that I don't like to talk bad about Modern Day Debate. They really did give me a chance at the start. They've been very good to me, but they've been trending towards entertainment, and I think it's finally time to acknowledge that elephant in the room.
Especially with like all the flat Earth debates, like they keep having these same topics over and over and over. And I just feel like, when you've had 5 flat Earth debates this month, maybe you could have something different.
Well, I understand the reason why is because that's what gets people in. That is what gets in the views. So like I said, it's kind of our fault. And I got to admit, I occasionally like watching the dumpster fire kind of thing. But I think that we need to separate the ones that are just entertainment because they're kind of silly, and ones that are serious and affect people in this world. Like the flat Earth movement is never going to get to the point where it's really going to affect people in a large way, like a large segment of the population. It's just sort of this fringe thing. And like you could make the argument people believing in things that are not true, but I really don't think it's that bad. Something like trans issues or is secular humanism versus Christianity, it's currently in politics right now, being decided what kind of a country the US is going to be. And I'm kind of scared that it's going to be hoisting a cross and marching across the world in a little bit. That's my fear.
Sorry,
so
I'm just I'm going through the comments on the debate itself. And just
apparently Andrew's sort of crowd has been attacking everybody, just swarming chats, swarming people like Grayson and people like who were sort of asking questions, like Ozian and Grayson and all of these people, the moderators of Modern Day Debate, modern day debate themselves. So they've been doing an attack campaign. I would guess, and I don't know this for sure, I would posit possibly it is possible that it could have been spurred on by Andrew himself to sort of attack everybody. I don't want people to attack Andrew. I think he please don't be mean to children, and that's how he's acting. He's acting like a child. So, I think it's best if you ignore him and he doesn't get the attention. And I realize how hypocritical that is. I'm sitting here saying, oh, don't give him attention while I'm doing a thing about him. I think it's not about him. I don't think it's about him. I think it is about what is YouTube debate? Is it entertainment or is it an intellectual pursuit? How do we differentiate the two? Is it okay for there to be channels doing one, doing the other, doing both? And how are we going to accommodate everybody that wants to see dumpster fires and everybody that wants to see serious debate?
And that's fair. Just are there any good, less dumpster fiery debate platforms here on YouTube?
As much as I hate to say it, Standing for Truth runs a very serious debate channel. I'm sorry, he does. Like, yeah. Apart from, Hoven's Hovened and everything, but it's never been a dumpster fire. Hoven's ridiculous. He's just ludicrously bad. But it is always, it's never been just two people yelling at one another.
And I'm actually trying to get another debates up there soon, but just
okay.
I wish I wish I knew of another platform where it was, they tried their best to be neutral. Like, to be fair, modern day debate kind of does, but where the moderation actually feels like it has weight,
Because Gibbs on guest mask guest room when the US goes to shit. Yeah, no, I'll take immigrants from the US. That's fine. Refugees.
But just like I feel people should be able to stand on their own without a moderator, but having something would be nice. And sometimes I feel like modern day debate, the moderator is really just there to tally super chats.
Yeah, well, that's not entirely true. I can't say that because that debate I had with Ross, there was a lot of moderation involved with, getting like muting and stuff. I absolutely think that.
But for that one, I feel that's more the exception, and it was for a exceptionally blatant individual, I guess I'll say.
Yes. Well, as I said, I don't think Andrew was that subtle in what he was trying to do, and sort of the moderator pulling him up and saying, hey, and see, James did do that. He said, hey, I don't think that's the topic, and maybe, see, what I would have done, and keep in mind, it's very easy for me to say this after the fact, not being there. Matt was the one that was there, and Matt has a personal stake in the topic being discussed, and while I personally do support trans rights, I don't have a family member that is trans. I just don't. So I'll never know what it's like to be attacked like that. I'll never know. But you could say, hey, we'll spend 5 minutes on this and then move on to the rest of the topic, because trans issues is not which is better for society. And he wanted to change the topic. That's what he wanted to do. A way around that is possibly to say, hey, I'll spend 5 minutes on this, talk about it for 5 minutes, then we move on. And if he tries to pull it back to that same topic, no, move on. We've got to move on. And I think that might have been a better way to handle it. But however, Matt's huge. He doesn't have to stand for that bullshit. He just doesn't. He's had conversations with Jordan Peterson at sort of universities, and he speaks to people on all kinds of topics. He doesn't need to get into a garbage fire.
Well,
he doesn't.
I understand why he walked out and why he behaved the way he did. I can say that I agree. I wasn't there, but I feel I would have tried to do something different. I guess you could say. I don't feel like he handled it the best he could have.
Well, he acknowledges that sort of calling him a
Yeah.
name as he went out sort of undermined his
Well,
authority. But I totally
well,
get where he's coming
just-
from, and I can say what I would have done. I can't say if that would be right. You know, I really don't.
Yeah, fair.
I think that he's trying to make a line in the sand where you go into a debate, both the interlocutor you're going against and the people facilitating the debate should be honest about what the debate is about, and that it is a debate and not an argument for 10-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem. That when somebody says, "Hey, do you want a debate?" Some people think of it, oh, cool, I get to yell at people and, you know, carry on like an idiot for an hour. That's not a debate. It's not even close to a debate.
So I can bring up, it's not exactly the same, but like I feel a semi-similar situation. Who was that flat earther Aaron Rod debated a few years ago?
I don't know. I don't follow Aaron that much, to be honest with you.
Well, he had some debate with a flat earther. I think it was on I'm pretty sure it was on Modern Day Debate.
Nathan Thompson,
maybe. But the guy, like Aaron, basically gave him some criteria that he had to fulfill before the debate started, and the guy didn't. Like, he didn't have a model, he didn't have a map of the flat earth or anything like that. And Aaron said, granted, bit flavorful language, because Aaron, you have failed the minimum criteria. This conversation is not worth my time. I feel like if Matt had said something similar to that, then maybe his exit would have come off a bit better. Like just calling him out for not coming here to debate.
Yeah, and why that is, perhaps sort of say, hey, the topic.
Yes.
Well, he did sort of say that, but also, you know, like it is evident that he is trying to change the debate topic to trans issues. That's what he's trying to do. That was absolutely blatantly evident.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of saying something like that, yeah, and he probably could have worded it better at the time. Although if I just had my partner attacked like Matt did, I'd be really furious. You know, that's, you know, hate me, call me names, yell at me. Don't attack my partner. Like, don't attack my wife. Come on, man. What are you doing? What are you doing? Seriously. Yeah. Oh, that's disgusting. She has nothing to do with this debate. Nothing. You're just using somebody's family to mess with them. Disgusting behavior. And this is the person saying that he's got an idea for the better society. Wow. So all of his behavior, the lies, the false promises of covering it and then taking it back, changing the debate topic so the discourse can't go ahead, only focusing on one point because he doesn't actually want to have a debate. All of this deceptive and horrible behavior is really why he lost, because the way that he conducted himself reflects how he'd want a society to act, because we all conduct ourselves in such a way that is, you know, we do how we want society to be. If I want to live in a society where people are kind to one another, I've got to be kind to people. If we want to live in a society where, you know, I let people in to a lane and when I'm drunk, I've got to do that. And so the society that Andrew's presenting is a nightmare dystopia where these radical fascists just basically control everything. Everything is about Christianity. If you veer outside of the Christian view, you're locked up and put into concentration camps. It is a nightmare dystopia that he is presenting. So if you're wondering why we think that Matt won, it's because A, he was the only person that turned up to the debate, and the conduct that this man presented him with didn't even take the debate seriously. Just shows that he's got no idea of what would make society good or bad. No idea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like the chat's having a mini civil war or something.
About what?
Being anti-theistic.
Well, it's important to remember that Andrew is just one type of Christian that is extremely radical. Most Christians will not support this behavior, and the fact that there was a Christian supporting the secular humanist side by the end of it is interesting. That more have to speak up. More have to say, hey, this is absolutely gross. We're not going to support this. Just like if somebody sort of said, hey, we should burn all religions to the ground and lock up anyone that believes in Christianity, I would be out there saying, no, you can't do that. That is wrong. You can't change people's beliefs by force. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's highly immoral. Now, debate is entertainment. I think it's valid. I think that if people are being entertained by dumpster fires, sure. But I think it needs to be made more transparent what is a dumpster fire or an entertainment debate and what is a serious debate. I think that needs to be made clear to the people going into it.
So, sorry, like a thread just connected my brain. I agree with you. Debate, like listening to it, you can't just listen to it for entertainment. Sure, I've done that plenty. But like pieces of entertainment can change people's lives. And I feel when you are helping to create something like that, you should take that into account. Like you should take it somewhat seriously. One of the people in this debate did. The other did not.
Yeah. And that's fine if it is a sort of entertainment debate. I don't have a problem with it. But the fact is that Matt thought he was getting a serious debate, and Andrew thought he was going into a dumpster fire, or wanted to make a dumpster fire, one of the two. So, you know, I think that if see, to make it clear that, hey, this is, you know, and that's where Matt probably should have done his homework and said, okay, what does this guy like in a debate? He's a child in a debate. I mean, I could find so many examples where he's basically interrupted the moderator, just, you know, cried over something that he doesn't see. Like, you know, Bush trying to present some actual facts and him just, you know, chucking a hissy fit, just spitting the dummy about him presenting a paper that refutes him, and then interrupting the moderator, and then you know, it's just, that's the kind of person he is. And that's fine. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you want to be that person, I you know, and do an entertaining debate because you want a garbage fight, that's fine. But don't pretend that you're a serious debater that can actually step into a ring and provide some good arguments, because that's not what you are. That's not what you are. You're a garbage fire guy. And so I think we need to make that evident. And, you know, I as much as I love modern day debate, it's been going down the entertainment route. But and I can't begrudge anybody for that. That's what sells at the moment. Okay, cool. You know, I think we just have to realize that's what we're up for when we go to modern day debate. Like, not to take it too seriously. It's not a serious debate. It's not. And that sort of, it breaks my heart, because I like seriously debating. I don't mind rolling around the dirt once in a while, but yeah, I do like to get in there and talk about things and really run through ideas and concepts and things like that, important concepts. Yeah, Peter, sorry. What types of debate would you join now in modern day debates and no more serious topics? Yeah, so I'd probably go in for stuff like flat earth or, are demons real, and just stuff that sort of nobody believes in, really. I mean, flat earth, they sort of say they're gaining numbers all the time. They're not. There's such a small percentage of the community. I think the trans community far outnumbers the flat earth community. They're tiny. Then nobody takes them seriously. So yeah. But things like, religion, is there a God, is a serious topic. That is something that is important. Things like, the Hamas and Israel, that's a serious topic. There should be serious debate over that. And that's a difficult topic. It's kind of weird, but I think stuff like gun control is a serious topic. And I've never seen a gun control debate on MDD. I've never seen one. But that topic is so serious. Abortion is a serious topic. I don't think it should be made light of. Whether the Earth's flat, yeah, that's hilarious that people still think that, quite frankly.
And I was about to ask if they have. I forgot if MDD had more serious topics. They've had like abortion debates and stuff.
So yeah, I mean, I've had to think about it, and I think that, well, it's not like I won't debate serious topics. It's just what I will do is check my homework and make sure that the person that I'm engaging with, and I'll always want the person that I'm engaging with for serious topics, is actually going to take it with the seriousness it deserves. So I hope that answers your question, Peter. But I want to say I'm really devastated. I'm really devastated. I did write James. I'm not going to share the correspondence. It was a private discussion, but I am very devastated at that. It breaks my heart. I have done a lot for MDD. MDD's done a lot for me. I really have a soft spot for it. I really think it was an amazing platform where we could debate things, and I've had a few debates on there that have been really good debates, and so I don't like to talk bad about it, because I think that James is a really good guy that is trying his best, but he is going with the flow of where the numbers are and where people are watching. So I don't think it's entirely his fault, to be honest with you. I think that if more people paid attention to serious debate, then we would have serious debates. And I think if less people paid attention to dumpster fires, we would have less dumpster fires. But unfortunately, that's not what is happening. And I can't blame him for that. Like if another content creator said, hey, all of my views come from contents on dogs, falling on their face, can you really blame them for putting up that content? No.
Yeah. And
that's where their views come from.
And again, also, just to be fair to James, like, apparently he pays at least some of his moderators. Like, it sounds like he's actually trying to turn it into a business. Like,
Yes.
he's holding cons now. So
yeah,
like, he has to pay attention to the money.
Yeah. Gifted 5 Markgrid memberships. Thank you so much, Dr. Tapio. I've now forgive you for being a flat earther. I forgive you. Yeah, and look, I'm not going to badmouth modern day debate. I'm not going to, I still think it is a great channel, but for entertainment. Like, I mean, I'll probably still watch it. That's the thing. Like, as I said, I don't mind watching an occasional dumpster fire now and again. I think there is a section on debate that could be held in reserve for really serious debate, and given a platform, even if it doesn't make the most views. That, of course, is up to James, and rightly so. It is his channel, and if the man gets more views by what he's doing, I can't begrudge somebody for that, because we're You know, the reality is, the fact of the matter is, we're all on YouTube, and we all do, in some part, care about views. You know, of course, I care about how many people are watching. It may not sort of influence me as much as other people or bigger channels, but in some way, it sort of does. So I can't get mad at the guy for that. He's just running his channel like anyone would run a channel. So. Yeah, JJ, I hear you. You know, and that's a matter of perspective, really. That's a matter of opinion over what makes a superior debate, really. Let's face it. A lot of that is up to interpretation. Whether you think that, you know, yeah, so I get what you're saying, though. I get that what you're saying. It's certainly not saying he's delivering more intellectual debates. I wouldn't make that claim, but yeah, well, that's enough, you know, and that's my opinions on MDD. I still love James. I still like the channel for the occasional debate you have that is very serious. And again, I said I like the occasional dumpster fire. I'll probably watch Iron Horse because Iron Horse has been, you know, there's something about the sort of, you know, there's a reason why things like Married at First Sight and 90 Day Fiance are so damn popular, because they're garbage fires. So if you want to look why these debates are being scheduled on Modern Day Debate, because of us. Sorry. Pannon, yeah, I have. Yeah, it's not worth the time I took to look it up. I have looked at Pannon. It's numerical patterns happen everywhere. It doesn't have to be the Bible. Pretty silly. Anyway, that was kind of
numerology, or
yeah. Have you ever looked into Dr. Ivan Pannon's discovery of numerology in the Bible? Basically, indicate divine inspiration. Yeah, it doesn't. There's just patterns in everything. They're just patterns. Like mathematical patterns happen all over the place. But this has been a really serious debate. You know, we really should talk about something a bit happier, because this has been really serious and down to earth. And yeah, that's my feelings on the whole thing. Yeah, but that's my views on it. I think I'm going to be very cautious about who I take on from any source, not just modern day, any source really, because it seems like the Christians, having not been able to sort of win in the rationality and debate front, are just yelling at us now.
Sorry, can I add a point on that?
Sure. Yeah, of course. That's what you're here for.
I hear. Well, I mean, true.
No, it's just to hear your beautiful voice. That's all. That's the only reason.
Thank you.
Nice.
And I hear what you're saying about that, Mark, but I feel like it has been a strategy that's been in use for a while. Depends on where you look for debates, depends on where you listen to it. But I have definitely heard a lot of, well, still Christians, but use this type of debate strategy a lot in the past.
Sure.
I feel it's more an annoying thing that is popping up again rather than a new strategy they've come up with.
Well, and I think the ironic thing, I think it's the greatest irony that the debate topic was, will secular humanism win against Christianity? And Andrew displayed all of the behaviors of why secular humanism will win against Christianity. Like, he just outlined it perfectly, because they're not taking it seriously. Like, how can you possibly win a war when you're not even in it? You're not even trying. Have a great night. I'm not comfortable with non-binary denial. Non-binary denial. Okay. I'm sorry, Sven.
Oh yeah,
take it
the
easy.
civil war in chat hasn't stopped. I've just kind of been watching another dumpster fire.
I don't know what the civil war is. I don't know what's being said. Yeah, I'm sad.
It's been lively.
Okay, well, I mean, non-binary is a thing. We're not the only civilization to have it. There's been other civilizations that have had non-binary people. They've had sort of 3, 4, or even more sexes in their civilizations, or genders, rather, I should say. I apologize. Multiple genders. So we're not even the only one. People have recognized this before. And what gender is a intersex person, by the way?
Well, preferably, I think it should be up to them to choose, but
of course,
a lot of them get assigned one or the other at birth.
Correct.
Via surgery, and not exactly for that.
No, I'm against it as well. They should decide that, not somebody for them. But yeah, if you're sort of saying, hey, somebody with male sexual reproduction organs is a man and somebody with female sexual reproduction organs is a woman, then you've got clearly a third gender there as somebody that fits into neither two of those categories.
Well, I mean, are we talking gender or sex?
Well, we're talking about if you're simply defining sex as a gender, sorry, as what your sex is, your biological sex is.
Because, like, sorry, inner biologist is like, there is a debate you can have there, but then I realize, oh no, we don't do that with humans.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Because, like, sex and biology can be assigned by gamete production, by chromosomes, by a lot of things.
It's called intersex, Daryl. That's a really old term that doesn't really get used anymore. Just say intersex. That's fine.
It is a term still used with non-humans, but
well, yes,
humans,
I get that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole thing. I've been sort of worrying about this for a while. I really didn't want to do this debate today, and the obnoxiousness of the victory laps that Andrew's been doing, like just getting on every day and talking about how he stomped Dillahunty, which is just nonsense. To me, that's a sign of insecurity. When you have to sort of have a debate and then boast about how well you've done. If you have a review and stuff, yeah, totally for it. If you want to get on there and sort of point out all the things, sure, that's fine. But if you're talking about how you destroyed the other person and stomped them and stuff, you've done really badly, because you wouldn't have to do that if you did well. You wouldn't have to. Especially not, go round and broadcast it sort of 12 hours a day that you completely stomped it. And like I said, I don't think anybody wins or loses debates. I don't think that's the point of them. Maybe people win or lose garbage fires, and maybe they don't. Maybe nobody wins a garbage fire. Who knows? Beansy, no, I disagree. I don't think it earned them an unsub. I think it's just, if you continue to sub, realize that the overwhelming majority of their content is going to be for entertainment purposes only, not for actual serious discussion. And that's okay. That's okay. They can have an entertainment channel. That's fine. I don't see why that has a problem,
Well, if we're trying to if we're bringing the stream to a close, looks like Nitty is about to go online.
Oh, is Nitty about to go on? Yeah. Well, I'll bring it to a close because it's been a while, and quite frankly, like I said, I really didn't want to do this one. I didn't want to give any more oxygen to it, but I think that there is no reason to stoop to the level of what's happening. You know, we can talk, like it's important that we talk about things reasonably and rationally without letting it devolve into this stuff. But I mean, all I can say is, come on, Christians, is this the level of the dialogue that you want to be representing you? Like, is that what you want? Because let me tell you, if you think you've been losing debates so far, you are, you know, if this is the level of dialogue that you're pointing out, you've got problems. Because nobody is going to listen to you while you're stamping your feet like children and sort of saying, well, I'm right because I'm right.
Mhm.
Oh, you're welcome, Carol. It's a pleasure to see you all. Yeah, I really, yeah, and do drop in on Nitty as always. If you are going to drop on Nitty, you've got to shout "read raid" when you go in, just for posterity. Yeah, grow a pair, peeps.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go subscribe to Tapioca Weasel because I think it'd be funny.
Yeah, so you know, I wonder if these people are in arrested development, if they're actually children. Yeah, so you're sort of acting like somebody in a playground acts, you know. Yeah. Ember linked it, didn't he? Just 1 second.
Oh, Ember,
Ember
posted a
linked it.
link, yeah.
Yeah, Ember posted a link. So yeah, do drop in on Nitty if you do want. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and big thank you for Doc Dino coming here and keeping me company while I went on a sort of a bit of a critical investigation on why this shouldn't have even been a debate in the first place. It shouldn't have been. Matt's gotten to the point where he doesn't have to accept garbage fires and entertainment debates. He can talk about serious topics, and we should talk about serious topics. If you want to have garbage fires, go and play in the sandbox with the rest of the children. And hey, you know, I'll be in there sometimes because, you know, I don't mind a garbage fire. I can roll around in the sand and, you know, call each other names sometimes. It's fine. Like, you know, occasionally you got to indulge your inner child. But if that's what you're only capable of doing, like Andrew seems to be, like obviously Sabracadabro in the thingo only seems to be, go play in the sandbox like the rest of the children and leave talking about the issues to the adults. So yeah, please. But thanks so much, Dr. Dino. Thank you everybody for joining me. I really enjoyed it. Kind of. I'm glad I got it off my chest. It does feel cathartic. Like it does feel like I have a weight off my chest that I've been able to tell people what my position is. And I know that everybody wants to blame modern day debate and they're all bad and stuff like that. I don't think they're entirely to blame. I think that what people want is this for whatever reason, and they are just being a reflection of our wants and desires. Sorry if that's controversial. But I totally understand if that's not what people want. You have a right to choose what you want off YouTube. Totally get that. Totally understand it. Don't blame anybody for it. I don't mind a garbage fire occasionally, so I'll probably, you know, drop in occasionally and see what happened. In fact, I do want to find out what happened with Iron Horse because that guy is a disaster.
Yeah, that's going to be painful.
Let's not forget the time that Iron Horse was naked and showed his dick on Modern Day Debate. Can we talk about that for a second? Like, that was that was weird and odd and just, it caused a ton of jokes about how, like, you only debate Iron Horse if he's wearing clothes kind of thing. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Like, do people actually like not wear pants at their desk? Like, just,
Apparently so. Well, you heard the Gavin one, right?
I have not.
So Gavin Herleman used to be a apologist, really badly, from a real bad apologist from New Zealand, and Randolph Richardson, Canadian atheist.
Nope.
Randolph's a really lovely guy. He's from Canadian Atheists, and he is sort of the grandpappy of the granddad of atheism on the internet. And so Gavin was sitting there, and he's got a shirt on, right? Like shirt and tie shirt, a business shirt kind of thing. And he's sort of doing this debate. And then he gets up and goes to the sliding door behind him, a glass sliding door behind him. And he's got no pants on, right? Just bare legs kind of thing. And he was probably wearing underwear, but so when we say pants, we're talking about trousers or jeans or something like that. So he probably had underwear on, I'm not sure, but he definitely had no trousers on, right?
Is trousers more commonly said than pants today? I thought that was more of an older
what is
English
pants to Americans? What's pants to Americans?
Trousers, but no one uses
pants
trousers.
Because usually when we say pants, we're talking about underwear kind of thing.
Oh no, those are underpants.
Okay, underpants. Okay. So, but the funniest thing was the reason why he got up is because a bird had flown in his room and he was trying to shoo this pigeon out of his room. And that was hilarious. And the people moderating it were, I think it was Oz, and it could have been Dr. Josh, but it definitely was Oz. And they were trying so hard not to, like, they were losing it kind of thing. And yes, Iron Horse has a reputation of being very nasty behind the scenes. Yes, absolutely. And I can confirm that from personal experience. He is banned from this channel forever. He will not be back. So yeah, he has been incredibly mean to me behind the scenes. Even for some reason, though, he talks like I'm his friend, while sort of insulting my wife, while trying to accuse me of abusing children and trying to spread that round, and somehow thinks that I'm going to be his friend, which is
seriously.
It's weird. It's weird. He's like, oh, yeah, but you're a mate of mine. No, I'm not. Like, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that thing to people and sort of, be so mean to people and then they say, hey, but you're my friend, right? What? I don't know. It's weird. He's a weird one. And, I don't know if he's all there. I don't know if I should comment. But anyway. Thank you so much, John. That's the last I'll say about it. Thank you for my, MDD and Andrew catharsis. I don't think anybody needs to platform Andrew. I think that he's sort of just leave him rot on his channel, jerking off to all his followers, thinking he's won something because he's dishonestly changed the topic of a debate and sort of made somebody with a vested interest in the topic he's trying to change it to get mad and walk out. Seriously, utter trash. Utter trash. Have you got any last thoughts to share with us, Doc? Please give us your rundown, your feelings. Get it off your chest. Let's purge this nastiness and sort of, yeah.
Well, I mean, this was a terrible debate, and modern day debate needs to start vetting their debaters. And like I've said this before in other places, but like, let the moderators just like give a quick look over the opening statements before they're made, because the moderators don't need to be surprised, and they can like say, hey, this isn't going to fly on our platform. Don't do this. Like, I feel that's fine.
Well, it depends. Like when you say they need to change, they don't. If they're after just entertaining, entertainment-based debates with no substance, then they don't have to. Right? I'm not going to tell another channel how they should run. But you're right. If they do want to be considered a serious debate channel, they do have to change. But that might not be what they're after, and it's not up to any of us to tell a channel how to behave, or what to do.
Maybe not they need to, but I feel like it would help their credibility.
Sure, absolutely. No, I do agree with that, but if they just want entertainment debates, then that's what they want. And it is kind of disappointing because there's been some really good debates, but we'll see what happens. We can always revisit this. We can see what happens. We can see, because I know, and I don't think I'm giving away anything, because James was in the debate sort of saying, hey, as a Christian, why are you acting like this? So he obviously was not happy with the representation that Andrew made of the Christian side. I don't think he was pleased at all with just how the Christian side was represented. And I would be worried if any Christian is pleased by the way that they were represented. I think that would be quite shocking if to most Christians out there, the way that they represented themselves. But if you are a Christian and you do think that you're represented in a bad way, do speak up. I would if it was an atheist behaving like that. I would. I have.
Ooh,
so yeah.
Maybe we can inspire how should Christians conduct themselves in a debate. That'd be fun.
That is a really good idea. Except one of the sides that you're having doesn't want to debate and really want to just have a garbage fire. So
yeah,
that would be a garbage fire because one of the positions is make it a garbage fire. So I don't know how you do that.
That feels like it could be a standing for truth debate, honestly.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could suggest it, certainly. I mean, obviously I couldn't participate in that debate, but yeah, yeah. Anyway, take care, people. Don't forget to be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. Thank you for helping me get this out and off my chest and give voice to my concerns. Take care, much love, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.